about me. When I am asking,
whether it's
She said she thought was
whether it's Wanda, whether it's me, whether it's Tracy, whether it's Tony, whether it's Tamar, someone can identify with that person.
Yeah.
And it's just
that the people who don't understand what they're feeling and don't know that mental illness is a real.
What really happened to Tamar Braxton? That's the question shaking the whole internet right now, and everybody keeps dancing around it like they're scared to even speak the truth. What started as a random Instagram post has turned into something way darker, something nobody expected, something that feels straight out of a crime documentary. Just imagine this for a second. A close friend pushing open a door only to freeze in shock. Tamar, one of the most recognizable voices in R&B, on the floor not moving, surrounded by her own blood. Her nose crushed, teeth missing, her whole body looking weak and torn up like she went through a war. And the wildest part? The part that sends chills straight down your spine? Tamar herself said, "I honestly don't even know what happened to me." How does a grown woman end up that hurt and have zero memory of how it happened? That's not a simple fall. That's not just bumping into a table. Something serious went down. Was it some kind of accident nobody wants to explain? Or is there something hidden in the shadows of that Braxton family history that people been whispering about for years? Something people pretend isn't there until moments like this blow everything wide open. And let's be real, Tamar didn't owe the world a thing. She could have stayed quiet, healed up behind closed doors, and kept her business private.
Fans of Tamar Braxton are extremely concerned that she took to social media revealing that she was found in a pool of blood and almost died. So you can pause the video to read her full Instagram story, but a couple of hours ago, Tamar took to her social media and said, "I struggled to write this, but everyone keeps calling me, and honestly, I can't even really talk anymore. I'm so weak. I almost died Sunday. I was found in a pool of blood from my friend with a face injury. As the days go by, the worse it is." Tamar continues, she says, "I fractured my nose, lost some teeth and mobility."
But instead, she jumped straight onto Instagram, pulled that curtain all the way back, and showed everyone a piece of her reality that most celebrities would never admit to. Now fans, friends, and even people who don't rock with her are left stunned, confused, and scared to even guess what really happened next. Fans are straight up horrified and begging for answers right now. The details alone sound like something nobody should ever have to go through. We're talking about a nose that wasn't just broken, it was shattered. Teeth completely knocked out. Her body so drained she could barely lift herself off the ground. It's the kind of scene that makes your stomach twist just thinking about it. So again, what really happened to Tamar Braxton? Everybody keeps asking, but nobody with real info seems brave enough to step up and speak. The way her story was shared, so vague, so incomplete, sent people into a frenzy. And now the internet is spinning theories left and right, and some of these whispers hit way too close to her front door. People inside the circle are talking about family tensions bubbling up behind the scenes.
All right, let's get into this UT. So Tamar Braxton revealed that she almost died, and it was a couple of days ago. She went on her Instagram stories yesterday and said that she suffered from a terrifying accident. She said, "I can't even really talk anymore. I'm so weak, I almost died. Sunday, I was found in a pool of blood."
Stuff that wasn't handled, old rivalries, jealousy, and deep wounds that were never fully healed. And now folks are wondering if all that pressure, all that history, might have finally exploded into something dangerous. The Braxton family name has power, no doubt, but anybody who's watched them over the years knows it also comes with heavy emotional baggage, decades of complicated relationships, quiet arguments, secret disagreements, and power plays that reality TV only gave us tiny glimpses of. So now people are questioning everything. Could someone close to Tamar have wished her harm? Could all the fame, money, property, and inheritance connected to that last name be stirring up something dark in the background? Something nobody ever wanted to believe was possible? And here's the wild part. These ain't just random rumors floating around from strangers online. These are real questions coming from people who actually know the family, people who've seen things behind the curtain, people who are suddenly looking around and wondering what kind of storm Tamar might have been caught in.
From my friend with a face injury, as the days go by, the worse it is. I fractured my nose, lost some teeth and mobility. The way I look at life now is totally different. As my health is on the mend, my mental journey begins. Pray for me for real. I don't even know what happened to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened to her either.
But there was a lot of people in her comments, you know, offering prayers and love. That is a scary thing. She posted, "Thank you, God, for waking me up today."
Can I just say, when you share information like this, I be wanting to know more. I'm concerned now.
She don't even know.
Well, say I want to. Her fans want to know what happened. Honest.
Here's the part that has everybody chilled to the bone. Injuries this extreme don't just happen out of nowhere. A shattered nose and teeth knocked clean out? That kind of damage takes serious force, intentional force, the type of impact you don't get from simply tripping or bumping into something. And the fact that nobody has stepped forward with a clear explanation just makes everything feel even more suspicious. Anybody who's followed the Braxton family over the years knows the whispers that always float around them. Folks talk about a dark cloud hanging over the family, like some type of curse people joke about, until moments like this make it feel way too real. And now, with Tamar lying there confused and in pieces, those whispers aren't whispers anymore. They're full-on alarms blaring in everybody's face. This family has dealt with one crisis after another. From sudden medical emergencies to heartbreaking losses, including the passing of their sister Tracy Braxton, a moment that shook fans and the family to their core. When you look at the timeline, it starts feeling like a pattern, something that keeps hitting them back to back, almost like they're being pushed through wave after wave of pain they never asked for. And Tamar? She's been standing in the middle of that storm for years. Back in 2020, when she was hospitalized after a suspected overdose, the world saw just how deep her emotional struggles went. Her mental health journey has been raw, public, and heavy, and you could feel the weight she was carrying even when she tried to hide it. Her personal relationships have been rocky, sometimes breaking apart right in front of everyone, and other times falling apart behind the scenes where only the closest people knew how bad it got. She's had moments where her career felt unstable, moments where her name became the center of jokes online, moments where people underestimated how much pressure she was under living in a family with such a powerful legacy. The Braxton name carries status, but it also comes with expectations that can crush someone if they're already hurting inside. And despite all of it, she kept trying to stand tall, even while her world kept getting hit with blow after blow. But this situation right here, this hits different. It feels heavier, deeper, like whatever bad energy has been following the Braxton family is tightening its grip. And Tamar might be stuck in a cycle she can't break no matter how hard she pushes back. It makes people wonder if this is something supernatural or if it's something way more real. Something passed down through generations. Trauma that never got healed, messy relationships that keep pulling her down, and the insane pressure of carrying a famous last name that never lets you breathe. Tamar's Instagram post wasn't some simple update. It felt like a coded message, a silent alarm wrapped in scripture and emotion. Fans have been studying it like detectives, replaying every frame, every sentence, every detail, trying to make sense of what she's really saying underneath the surface. She dropped a Bible verse, asked for prayers, and then wrote words that left everybody frozen. She said, "Thank you, God, for waking me up today." Read that again. Thank you for waking me up today. Not thank you for healing me, not thank you for the recovery, not even thank you for another chance. She thanked God for waking her up, like even opening her eyes that morning wasn't guaranteed, like she brushed way too close to a moment she might not have come back from. And that's what hit people in the chest. Those words sounded like someone who knew just how close things got. Someone who felt the danger for real. The video she posted included the song Spirit Lead Me, a track that's deep, emotional, and all about being lost and begging for direction when you don't know which way to turn. It's the kind of song people put on when they're reaching out, when they're struggling, when they feel like they're hanging on by a thread and need something bigger than themselves to pull them through. Everything about her post screamed that something serious went down, something she's not ready or maybe not allowed to fully explain yet. Is this Tamar's way of telling us she's lost? That she's stuck in something she can't fully explain, like she's sinking and can't find the words to scream for help? Some people think she might not just be sharing her pain. She might be signaling something, warning somebody, or trying to speak without actually speaking. The way her posts were written, the timing, the tone, it all feels way too intentional. The cryptic vibe of everything she shared raises a chilling thought. Maybe Tamar wants to tell the world exactly what happened, but she literally can't. Maybe she's scared. Maybe somebody out there is watching her every move, keeping tabs on what she says, and making sure the official story stays clean. And maybe these little clues she's dropping are her way of hoping somebody smart enough will connect the dots and understand the truth she's too frightened to say out loud. People see Tamar Braxton, the celebrity, the performer, the reality TV personality with the bold attitude and the quick comebacks. But behind all that shine, there's a woman who's been dealing with battles most people wouldn't survive. She's had health scares out of nowhere that left fans stunned. She's had public arguments play out online in front of millions, with every stranger judging and dragging her like they know her real life. And then there's the weight of that Braxton last name, the pressure of being part of a famous family where everybody has talent, everybody has a legacy, and everybody has something to prove. Tamar has spent years feeling the eyes of the industry, critics, and even her own family watching her, comparing her, expecting perfection from her while ignoring the pain she carries. And no matter how successful she was, it always felt like someone was ready to say she still wasn't enough. This moment right here feels completely different, like the final straw, the breaking point, the moment where everything she's been fighting, hiding, and burying finally burst through the surface in a way she couldn't control anymore. This moment feels like the point where all those years of pain, all that pressure, all that emotional weight finally exploded and left real physical damage behind. Blood, broken bones, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. And now everybody's forced to face the questions they've been dodging. What actually went down that Sunday? Who was the friend that found her, and why have they stayed completely silent? Why is every detail missing? Like not just unclear, but totally erased. Because let's be real, injuries this serious don't happen quietly. When someone ends up with a shattered nose and missing teeth, there are always records. Police reports, hospital documents, witnesses, someone who heard or saw something. So where is all of that? Why does it feel like the whole situation has been wiped clean? It's like someone hit delete on the truth. Tamar's manager dropped a tiny statement saying she's recovering, and that's it. No explanation, no timeline, no reassurance, just a single word tossed at fans who are sitting here terrified and begging for clarity. People aren't buying it, because that kind of silence around such a serious incident feels way too controlled. And that silence? It's loud. So loud, it's scary. In a world where every celebrity situation gets blasted across social media within minutes, where everything is recorded, leaked, or posted before a publicist even wakes up, this level of quiet feels unnatural. It feels deliberate. It feels like somebody is protecting something or someone. The whole thing suggests there are secrets tucked away behind this incident. Secrets somebody does not want out in the open. And it makes people wonder, Is Tamar protecting someone because she's scared of what might happen if she talks? Is she being pressured to keep quiet? Or, maybe the most heartbreaking possibility, is she genuinely confused about what happened and trapped inside a haze of trauma that has her memory scrambled, just like the injuries she suffered? Everything about this situation feels like a puzzle, with half the pieces missing, and the pieces we do have look like someone tried to hide them before anyone could figure out the full picture. The Braxton family drama has always run deeper than anything reality TV ever showed us. The cameras only caught the polished arguments, the rehearsed reactions, the stuff they were willing to let the world see. But behind those closed doors, away from producers and bright lights, there were real fights, real resentment, and real tension that built up for years. And when a family's legacy involves fame, businesses, and serious money, inheritance issues can turn relatives into straight-up opponents. Money has a way of pulling out the parts of people they try to hide, the parts nobody wants the public to know about. And in a family as successful, layered, and complicated as the Braxtons, it's not hard to imagine how those dark feelings could grow into something dangerous. People are now wondering if all that unresolved drama finally exploded in a way nobody expected. Tamar Braxton has always been a survivor. She's shown that over and over again. She's pushed through mental health battles, career knockdowns, messy public drama, and relationships that left her hurting. She kept coming back even when the world thought she was finished. She wore her strength like armor, showing up with her head high when plenty of people were waiting for her to fall apart. But here's the truth people forget. Resilience doesn't make someone untouchable. Just because Tamar kept getting back up doesn't mean the hits didn't leave marks. Just because she smiled on camera doesn't mean she wasn't breaking behind the scenes. Surviving doesn't mean she never felt the weight of everything crashing down. And for years, some critics brushed her off. They called Tamar dramatic, said she was exaggerating, claimed she was just looking for attention. They made jokes, dropped comments, and acted like her emotions weren't real, like her pain wasn't valid. But now, with this terrifying incident hanging over everything, those same people are realizing maybe she wasn't being dramatic at all. Maybe she's been trying to tell the world how heavy her life really is, and nobody listened until now. People used to roll their eyes at Tamar's tears and brush off her emotional moments like she was just being extra. They labeled her the difficult one, the dramatic one, the so-called problem in the room. But now, with her lying in a pool of blood and dealing with injuries that could have taken her life, suddenly that pain looks very real, doesn't it? Suddenly, the world is realizing maybe they got her all wrong. This whole situation is forcing everybody to face a harsh truth. People judged her without mercy. They dismissed her struggles. They laughed at her breakdowns. They treated her real pain like it was just entertainment for social media. And now here we are, looking at the fallout of a culture that wants celebrities to pour out their trauma for views, but refuses to treat them like human beings when they're hurting. Fame handed Tamar Braxton a lot. Success, recognition, a career, a voice, a platform where she could show off the talent she was born with. But fame also took so much from her. It stripped away her privacy, her peace, and her ability to live a normal life. It put a spotlight on her every mistake, every weakness, every heartbreak. And now, with this terrifying incident, it might have even taken her memory of what actually happened that night. Because behind the pictures, behind the makeup, behind the stage performances and glamorous Instagram posts, there's a woman who's exhausted from always having to be on. A woman tired from being judged by millions who don't know her. A woman who's been struggling to hold together relationships that constantly crumble under the pressure of public eyes. A woman carrying expectations heavy enough to crush anybody who isn't built from steel, and even steel cracks under enough pressure. The image of Tamar lying there injured, bleeding, barely conscious, it hits like a symbol, almost too real to ignore. It feels like a harsh snapshot of what fame can truly do to a person when the lights go off and the filters disappear. Fame doesn't just lift people up, it breaks them down. It strips away pieces of them slowly until they barely recognize themselves in the mirror. It turns real human beings into shells, performing nonstop for an audience that never gets satisfied. And it forces a tough question. Do we actually care about celebrities as real people or just as entertainment? Do we see their hearts, or do we only care about the chaos they can provide for our timelines? When Tamar was lying in that pool of blood, how many folks were worried about her actual safety, and how many were just waiting for the next messy update to drop online? It's a scary thought, but it's one we have to face. Tamar has admitted before that she spent years hiding behind a mask, smiling while she was hurting inside, pretending to be strong while she was falling apart behind closed doors. She performed confidence even when she didn't feel it. She became her own shield because she felt like she had no other choice. But now? This incident might be the moment where that whole facade crumbles for good. The moment where the truth she's been holding down finally pushes its way out. Is this the point where Tamar steps into real healing and faces the trauma she's been running from? Will she finally let herself admit what hurts, what scares her, what she's been carrying alone for so long? Or will this become just another painful chapter she's forced to bury deep, another part of her story hidden under silence, fear, and pressure from the people around her? Will the truth fade away while the world moves on, leaving her to carry this wound by herself again? The world is watching, and this time, not just for the drama, but to see whether she rises, breaks, or finally tells the whole truth.
She said she thought was right.
Pitiful lie, too.
And as long as you agree with her, she's fine. And it's the same thing with y'all. If y'all don't agree with her, she is pissed. And it's time for y'all to stop letting your mother run y'all.
Steal anything.
You don't. You sold men.
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them a few times.
Who? What man?
You not get the lead.
Oh, bitch. Dirty low down ass bitch.
Oh, you're such a liar. Such a liar.
Let me know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So looking at Tina Knowles and her children, and looking at Evelyn Braxton and her girls, it's proof to me that forgiveness or unforgiveness and bitterness can trickle down to your kids. I feel like Tina Knowles is the reason why Solange and Beyonce are able to persevere and press through adversity with grace and poise. I know this is a weird way to put it, but Beyonce and Solange was able to see their parents go through a healthy divorce.
So, imagine this for a second. What if Tamar was never the real issue at all, and the person shaking up the whole Braxton legacy has actually been Miss E the entire time? This whole family storyline just keeps getting wilder. And once again, Tamar is standing right in the center of the storm, like she always does. Every time Tamar pops up online for anything, people rush in, ready to drag her like she caused every single problem ever created. They call her chaotic. They say she wants attention, and they swear she never lets go of old drama, like she's just walking around collecting grudges. It gets loud every single time, and folks act like they've already solved the whole situation. But Tamar is not letting anyone throw the blame on her without speaking up. She's been real clear lately, saying she didn't just wake up one day and decide to be this way. According to her, she carries these habits and reactions because of her mother, and she's not scared to say it out loud anymore. Tamar feels like people judge her without understanding what shaped her in the first place, and she's finally peeling back the curtain with some raw honesty. This Braxton family drama is getting intense.
Say some things out her mouth that are really cutting.
But your daughters are being held emotionally hostage to your ex-wife's bitterness towards you.
Mm-hmm.
You and her need to get on the same side of the table and free those girls. Because the elephant in the room that nobody will talk about is Evelyn Braxton's attitude.
Your mother run your life.
How dare he try to tell me how to raise my kids after he have abandoned us? He has some nerve.
Y'all have lives to live yourself, and she can't run her life, her home, and your home too.
You know what? Had you been home long enough to help me to raise them, it wouldn't be such a problem. But where were you? I'm there hanging in the street.
What did you do
doing
all
whatever
day?
you were
What
big
did you
enough
do
to
all
do.
day long?
What did you do?
What did you do?
Well, look at this twist. Because Tamar has been opening up heavy about her mental health lately, and she's been hinting that her mom's old resentment toward people, especially toward their dad, hit her spirit hard growing up. She's been saying that this energy shaped her, and it still follows her into adulthood, which is a big part of why she's still fighting her own battles today. Let's keep it real for a second, because Tamar has shown the world everything: the good, the bad, the messy, and the straight-up confusing. From her relationship chaos with Vince, to the ups and downs with JR, to beefs with her sisters, to Beacon drama, to people from the outside saying Josh say he is in trouble, she has walked through every storyline imaginable. And somehow, she still ends up being the clip everyone rewatches and the name everybody brings up. And this year, she pushed it even further. She threw funky DVA into the mix by hinting that something might have happened to her after a night out.
Can I ask you something, Miss Evelyn? Do you know what her pain is? Because the only reason a person would behave in this manner,
We're not going to throw this behavior word around
consistently.
again. We're not going to do that. She does not have a behavior problem, and that's not fair.
First of all, your finger in my face is not going to work for me.
But the
And I'm
name
not
calling is
speaking-
not going to work for me. Because I don't appreciate you keep throwing out these names. What about my disrespect? All I have been is disrespectful. I've been called. Wait a minute!
Or even worse, implying she might have been involved with some of Tony's men. That rumor alone had the whole internet sitting up straight like, what is going on right now? Back in the early days of Braxton family values, people loved this version of Tamar. Her big reactions, her dramatic moments, her bold comebacks. She became the fan favorite fast, and viewers acted like they couldn't get enough of her. Every season she delivered something new, something spicy, something people couldn't stop talking about. But as time kept moving forward, the tone started shifting. Every year, Tamar ends up doing something that has everybody rubbing their forehead, taking a deep breath and saying, "Here we go again!" The audience went from cheering to squinting, from laughing to wondering what exactly is going on behind the scenes. This situation just keeps getting messier. People are honestly stunned right now, and a lot of them are getting tired of what they see as Tamar's non-stop messy behavior. She keeps saying she's on this big healing journey, but plenty of folks feel like things have only gotten more chaotic, with some even saying Tamar really needs deeper support, because watching her unfold online has become draining for them. They say she's the type you gotta love from a distance, because the drama pops up too fast and too often. They swear Tamar never believes she's wrong about anything, and she reacts like the world is coming for her every time someone disagrees with her. People say she doesn't notice how sharp or hurtful she can get in arguments, and it leaves folks stepping back like, wow, did she really say that? Now she's nearly 50, and people point out she has fallouts with basically everyone who gets close to her. They're convinced she's not changing anytime soon, and they're warning her that the public is starting to lose patience. Tamar being dramatic has never been a secret, but people are now saying she should step back before whatever good reputation she still has slips right through her fingers. But like always, Tamar is not letting anybody talk about her without clapping back. In true Tamar style, she's flipping the whole conversation and putting the spotlight on everyone else, especially her mom, Ms. Evelyn. She's saying that some of the ways she reacts, some of the habits she can't shake, all go back to the environment she grew up in. And she's not the only one with emotional scars. Each sister has their own bitterness and resentment tucked away, and it's been sitting there for years. But Tamar is the only one who comes out and speaks about it openly. And now, for the first time ever, she's directly connecting her current behavior to the upbringing she had her whole life, and she's saying it loud for everyone to hear. This family story is getting intense. Tamar grew up watching her mother struggle to let things go, especially when it came to holding grudges, and it hit her hard because all that energy came straight from how Miss Evelyn's marriage ended with Michael Braxton. Even though that breakup happened ages ago, Tamar still remembers the anger floating around that house like it was yesterday. It's been more than 20 years since Evelyn and Michael divorced after she found out he wasn't being loyal, but the level of resentment she still carries toward him is unbelievable. People close to the family say that this bitterness didn't just sit with Evelyn. It shaped the entire way Tamar and her sisters learned to deal with pain, rejection, and disappointment. They didn't just watch their mom get hurt. They soaked up every emotion like sponges, and it followed them into every relationship and sister argument they've ever had. And let's not pretend only Tamar was affected. Even Tony, the oldest, the calmest, the one everybody calls the classy one, has her own version of messy behavior. She just hides hers a little better and keeps it tucked behind a polished smile, but it's still there, simmering underneath. That alone shows how deep the family patterns run. And here's where it gets real messy. During the divorce, Miss Evelyn reportedly became extremely controlling, and she made the kids choose sides like they were in the middle of a battlefield. Anyone who even tried to stand beside their father ended up catching the coldest treatment from her. It wasn't just sadness, it turned into pressure, confusion, and emotional weight that the girls had to carry way too young. This is the environment Tamar grew up in, and now she's finally saying out loud that it shaped how she moves, reacts, and lashes out today. This family history is serious. This whole situation also explains why Evelyn and Tracy were never fully aligned, because Tracy still wanted to keep a relationship with their father, especially since she lived the closest to him in Maryland. And Miss Evelyn was not happy about that, not even a little bit. People say she held on to that grudge all the way up until Tracy passed away, which adds a heavy layer of sadness to their family history. But Tamar? She was the youngest, and back then, she stood beside her mom in everything. Tamar has said she barely made a move without checking with her mother first. And that's where the real trouble started. It created this deep codependency that followed her well into adulthood, shaping how she responds in relationships and friendships to this day. And the way Tamar explains it, it wasn't just the bitterness or resentment that got passed down. She says her mom loved the sound of her own voice and always believed she was right about everything, no matter the topic. If Tamar had an opinion that didn't match Miss Evelyn's vibe, it got shut down instantly. No debate, no conversation, just a firm no. And Tamar was expected to fall in line. Miss Evelyn reportedly expected all her daughters to follow her direction without question, and going against her felt almost impossible. Tamar says the guilt was strong, because their mom constantly reminded them how she raised all 6 kids on her own after leaving their father, Michael Sr. That reminder wasn't said lightly. It was used like a weight that kept the girls in check. For Tamar especially, it created this emotional trap where she felt like she owed her mom loyalty in every situation, even when the choices didn't feel right. She grew up believing she couldn't challenge her mother without being seen as ungrateful, and that mindset has followed her for years. And now Tamar is finally unpacking all of this, saying out loud how much her upbringing shaped her reactions, her outbursts, her loyalty struggles, and the way she deals with conflict today. This story just keeps going deeper. This is the exact kind of environment Tamar grew up in. And even after more than 20 years, it feels like nothing changed at all. Miss Evelyn still carries a lot of anger, and it spills straight onto her daughters whenever things get tense. Tamar says she's been dealing with that energy her whole life, and now people are starting to see the pattern for themselves. A lot of folks online are actually agreeing with Tamar, saying it's not hard to understand how Evelyn Braxton set the tone for all the disrespect and emotional chaos the girls grew up around. They're pointing out how her behavior shaped Tamar's reactions and played a huge part in how Tamar handles conflict today, whether she realizes it or not. People have even started making lists of villains who don't look like villains, and Miss Evelyn's name is right at the top. Comment after comment says Evelyn reminds them of the type of toxic moms who put on a polished front but leave emotional damage behind closed doors. Women who act like they have everything under control while their children quietly absorb all the pain. The Braxton family has always had a lot of tension, and more people are admitting that Evelyn might have been the root of most of it. They say she kept her kids tied together with guilt, pressure, and emotional expectations, making them feel like they had to stick together no matter how deep the issues ran. And that kind of setup turns into scars that follow you into adulthood, shaping everything from friendships to relationships to how you argue and how you love. Now, Tamar is putting words to what she's carried since childhood, and the whole situation is exploding in front of everyone. This family story is getting wilder by the minute. Now that all this is spilling out, people are starting to look at the Braxton family in a whole new light, and the conversations online are getting louder by the day. Fans are saying this whole situation finally explains why the sisters move the way they do, why every little disagreement turns into a full meltdown, and why healing has always felt like a never-ending process for them. It's like watching a family trying to grow while still dragging decades of emotional weight behind them. And Tamar isn't holding back anymore. She's speaking up with the kind of honesty people didn't expect, and it's making everyone rethink who's really been stirring the pot all these years. She's pointing straight to the patterns she grew up with: the silence, the pressure, the guilt, the expectations. And she's saying she's done carrying all that without naming where it came from. What's wild is that so many viewers are saying they relate to her now more than ever. They're in the comments talking about how they grew up with moms who never apologized, moms who expected perfection but gave out criticism like it was candy, moms who ran the whole house with guilt and control instead of love and freedom. And suddenly, Tamar's behavior isn't looking like chaos for attention. It's looking like someone trying to break habits she never had a chance to unlearn as a kid. But the twist is this: the more Tamar opens up, the more divided the fans are becoming. Some say she's brave for finally breaking the silence, while others think she's dragging her family for sympathy. It's turning into a whole debate, and people are choosing sides like it's a championship match. This Braxton saga is getting messier by the minute, and Tamar is standing right in the middle of it with a mic in her hand and no fear at all. Now here's where everything gets even messier, because while Tamar is out here opening old wounds and trying to explain her side, people are starting to question why the rest of the sisters are staying so quiet. Fans are side-eyeing the whole family, wondering if they've been protecting an image for years while Tamar took all the heat in public. And honestly, the silence is making everything look even more suspicious. Some folks are saying the sisters don't want to confront the truth because it would force them to admit they've been affected by the same emotional patterns their whole lives. Others think they're staying quiet because they don't want to go against Miss Evelyn even now as grown women. And that just feeds into Tamar's whole point, that the guilt and pressure never really stopped, it just got quieter with age. But what's shaking people the most is the idea that Tamar might have been carrying the family's issues on her back this whole time while being labeled the dramatic one. Fans are saying that maybe she wasn't acting out for attention. Maybe she was the only one who didn't know how to bottle it all up like the others. And now that she's finally talking, everyone else looks uncomfortable because the truth is hitting too close to home. Meanwhile, the internet is spinning with theories. Some say there's way more behind the scenes that the family tried to hide, and Tamar just blew the lid off. Others think Miss Evelyn kept such a tight grip on the family dynamic that nobody ever learned how to express themselves without fear. And people swear you can see those patterns in every interview, every reunion, every argument the public ever saw. And now Tamar is stepping into this whole situation with fire in her voice and no hesitation, calling out what she feels shaped her entire life. It's bold, it's messy, and it's definitely got everyone watching like it's a whole new season of drama unfolding live. At this point, it's clear those sisters don't even vibe with each other like that. And Tamar always ends up being the one blamed because she talks loud, reacts big, and refuses to hide her personality. People treat her like the permanent scapegoat, even when she's not the one who started the mess. And it's wild to watch every time. But now I'm curious, what do you think about all this? Do you feel like the family has been unloading everything onto Tamar for years? Or do you think she plays a part in the chaos too? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this situation is way too layered not to talk about. And listen, if you're rocking with these breakdowns and you want all the behind-the-scenes drama delivered with real talk and no sugarcoating, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the Juicy Reel channel right now. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.
Guys, a demon just spoke through Toni Braxton, and I'm shook.
Okay, I gotta call you back. I'm about to have Bible study.
Why?
Cause I'm saved.
Well, not church. Just my faith. Because I'm a person that don't go to church.
Right.
You know?
Guys, a demon just spoke through Toni Braxton, and I'm shook.
The Braxton family always appeared like this flawless, picture-perfect squad. Same voices, same smiles, same shiny TV moments. Like everything was always sweet. But behind those bright lights was a storm nobody on the outside ever imagined. And now, Tamar Braxton is finally pulling that curtain wide open, letting people see the real mess hiding underneath. Tamar has been dropping hints for months, acting like something wasn't sitting right in that family circle. But this new reveal, it hits different. She's not holding anything back anymore. No soft filters, no cute edits, no Hollywood script.
Read the word. Because it's important to know the word. How else we gonna battle all these demons and witchcraft? How else you gonna do it?
There are other books.
Girl, get off of my phone, girlfriend. Get off of my phone. I'll call you back.
I mean, that book was written by racist white.
Girl, goodbye, girl. I'll call you in an hour.
She's talking about how fame didn't just shift things for the Braxtons, it straight up cracked their bond. And right in the middle of this whole story is Tracy Braxton, the sister many fans felt got pushed to the back while Toni Braxton kept moving up the industry ladder. People always whispered about it, but now Tamar is spelling it out loud and clear. For years, Toni Braxton was seen as the powerhouse, the superstar whose success opened doors for everybody else. She had the voice, the look, the awards, the presence, everything that made her the one the industry wanted to spotlight. And let's be real, The music world only ever tries to crown one main star at a time. But Tamar is saying this shine came with shadows. Shadows that hit her sisters in ways the public never saw. She's claiming the family wasn't standing shoulder to shoulder like fans believed. She's calling out how certain people got pushed to the side while others got lifted up. And she's telling it all with zero fear. Everything she's dropping right now has people looking at the Braxtons in a whole new way. This isn't just family drama. This is decades of silence cracking open. But while Toni was climbing toward global fame, her sisters, especially Tracy, were stuck fighting a quiet battle that nobody around them seemed to take seriously. They were struggling in the shadows while the spotlight kept drifting farther away. Now, Tamar is blasting the truth wide open, claiming there were decisions made behind closed doors that didn't just hurt Tracy. They pushed her right out of the picture. And according to Tamar, that moment left a mark on Tracy that she never fully healed from. It wasn't some small disagreement. It was a hit that changed her whole path. Even when the cameras were rolling and fans tried to read between the lines, everybody could sense something was off. You could feel the tension, even when the family tried to smile through it. But Tamar is revealing something way deeper, something that makes it sound like Tracy was pushed aside emotionally, professionally, and personally so that Toni's star could keep glowing without interruption. And the way Tamar is talking about it now feels different. It's not messy drama. It's not attention hunting. No shade for the internet. It sounds like she's finally grieving a truth she tried to bury for years. She's been speaking on interviews and live streams, dropping comments that had fans stunned, making people say things like, yo, maybe the Braxton story wasn't as tight as it looked. People are starting to realize this wasn't a sweet sisterhood fairy tale. It might have been a survival story inside an industry that only lets one person shine at a time. Tamar is hinting that the sisters weren't walking step for step together. Some were getting held back while others got pushed forward. And she's saying all this like she's finally tired of carrying the weight of silence. This whole situation has fans looking at the Braxton legacy with brand new eyes. Every word Tamar drops hits harder than the last. What made Tracy's situation hit even harder was the timing. When the Braxton sisters finally got their first real shot as a group, Tracy was more than ready. She had the voice, the energy, the stage presence, everything needed to stand front and center. But the label stepped in and decided they wanted the sisters, just not her. Tracy was expecting a child at the time, and the executives flipped that into the perfect excuse to cut her out of the deal. That one decision didn't only flip Tracy's career, it changed the whole direction of her life. And Tamar is saying the family went along with it because everyone thought Toni's success was going to open doors for the rest of them later on. But that future lane never came for Tracy. Instead, she ended up pushed deep into the background while Toni became the main face of the family and the whole industry machine started moving in her direction. And the situation wasn't just about fame. It was about money, power, and how the entertainment world loves building everything around one chosen one. Tamar hinted that the people running things around Toni made it clear the Braxton brand had to be centered on one star if they wanted the big push. And when a system works like that, somebody always ends up left standing outside the circle. Tamar's words make it sound like Tracy got caught in the middle of pressure she never asked for. While the industry locked in on Toni, Tracy was stuck fighting for space that never opened up. Fans are now looking back at old moments with fresh eyes, realizing this wasn't just a career setback. It was a long-term wound that changed everything for her. Every detail Tamar shares paints the picture bigger, louder, and more heartbreaking. The story hits different when you realize how easily one choice behind closed doors can change a whole life. Tamar never said the word sacrifice, but she didn't need to. The way she laid everything out had fans putting the pieces together instantly. The picture was loud and clear. Tony's rise didn't come free. Somebody paid a heavy price. And for Tracy, that price was watching the dream she built since she was young slip right out of her hands. Even when the family came back together years later for Braxton Family Values, people could still feel that weight on Tracy. It wasn't something she could hide behind jokes or tough energy. You could see it in her eyes. She wasn't just the funny one, not just the strong one. She was the sister who knew exactly what it felt like to be pushed away from the thing she loved the most, and that pain never left her. Tamar opened up about how Tracy felt like the industry never treated her fairly, like the doors that swung open for everyone else somehow stayed locked when it came to her. And the part that hit the hardest? Tamar said Tracy believed her own family didn't fight for her when she needed them the most. That truth shook Tamar in a way she couldn't ignore. Tamar admitted that the thing that haunts her isn't the fame, the deals, or the spotlight. It's the moment she understood that Tracy didn't need validation from the world. She needed her sisters to have her back. She needed real support, not promises or camera-ready smiles. On the show, people always joked that Tracy had the biggest heart, that she loved hard, forgave fast, and kept trying to hold the peace, even when she was the one hurting. And hearing Tamar talk about it now makes those old moments hit so much deeper. It's like the audience is finally seeing the real truth behind that smile. But Tamar's new comments made fans look at everything with fresh eyes. Suddenly, people realized Tracy wasn't just the peacekeeper. She was the one who ended up paying the cost so the family could even get a foot in the music world. Tamar said it straight without dodging anything. Tracy should have been standing right there with them from the very beginning. She had the talent, the grind, and the dedication, but the industry didn't want her included, and that hit different. And instead of pushing back, the family went along with the plan because nobody wanted to risk losing the opportunity they were finally getting. Tamar said the guilt didn't hit her all at once. It grew heavier every year, like a truth she couldn't escape anymore. When Tracy passed away, Tamar said the world finally saw it for what it was. The sister who got pushed aside deserved so much more. And it wasn't about jealousy or personal beef, none of that. According to Tamar, it was because the industry forced the Braxtons to make a choice, and that choice wasn't fair to Tracy at all. Tamar's voice even cracked when she talked about how Tracy never got all her flowers, not because she lacked talent, but because the door was shut long before she ever had a real chance to walk through it. And now Tamar is speaking loud because, in her words, the world needs to understand that Tracy's story wasn't just some heartbreaking moment. It was a warning, a real warning, about how fame can twist things inside a family, how the industry can take loyalty, flip it around, and force people to choose sides they never wanted to choose. Tamar is saying this isn't just old drama. It's about what fame can take from siblings, from love, from something that can't be replaced once it's gone. She's making sure people know Tracy wasn't forgotten by accident. She was left outside because the machine demanded it. And hearing Tamar say that now has fans shaken because it shows how real the pressure was behind the scenes. Tamar didn't hold a single thing back this time. She peeled those layers off like she was tired of carrying the weight. She said that what happened after Tracy got pushed out didn't just stay in the 90s. It followed the sisters for decades. It slid into every reunion, every studio session, every family sit-down they tried to fix like a shadow that refused to leave. Tamar explained that every time the family came together to work, there was this unspoken tension hanging in the room, a tension nobody dared to admit out loud. And here's the wildest part. Tamar claims everybody knew exactly where it came from. Everybody felt it, everybody recognized it, but nobody wanted to be the one to finally call it out. She said Tracy wasn't upset because she didn't become some huge superstar. That wasn't the issue at all. She was hurt because the people she trusted the most didn't stand up for her when it mattered the most. And Tamar is admitting that straight up for the first time, without dodging, without spinning it, just. Tamar said she remembers times when Tracy would show up excited, ready to rehearse, ready to record, ready to be part of the dream again. She came in with hope, with energy, with that fire still lit inside her. And Tamar said, looking back now, that memory hits her with a different kind of pain because she knows how much Tracy wanted to belong to something that pushed her away. And just like that, the whole vibe would switch up the moment someone from the label stepped in and made it clear that Tracy didn't fit the image they wanted. That line stuck in Tamar's mind for years, fit the image. She said that was the moment she finally understood the industry wasn't just shaping their careers, it was shaping their entire family rhythm too. Tamar revealed that Tracy carried that rejection like a shadow she couldn't shake off. Even when she tried to laugh it away or act like she was keeping the peace, the hurt stayed right under the surface. And when Braxton Family Values finally came around, fans thought this was it, the big redemption arc, the moment all the sisters would shine together like they should have from day one. It looked like the perfect chance to rewrite the past. But Tamar said filming didn't fix things. It exposed more cracks than anything else. She claims producers loved stirring up drama between her and Tracy because the tension was already sitting there waiting. It was decades old, never handled, and way too easy for TV to twist into storylines. And every argument they had on camera wasn't really about what the audience saw. Those moments were old wounds bubbling back up with no place left to hide. Tamar said the yelling, the frustration, the heated moments, they were really about years of Tracy not being heard, not being understood, and not feeling supported like everyone else. It wasn't about fame or spotlight. It was about respect and acknowledgement she never fully got. Then Tamar admitted something she had never said this clearly before. Tracy always felt like everyone else had moved on without her. She didn't get the tours. She didn't get the spotlight. She didn't get the push the others received. Tamar said once the cameras were rolling, she finally realized how deep that pain ran, and it changed the way she looked at everything they went through. Tamar explained that the show didn't reveal new problems, it just exposed the ones that were already sitting there for years. And hearing her talk about it now makes every old moment hit a lot harder. And even when Tracy did every single thing the industry asked for, the dieting, the training, the rehearsals, she still got treated like she was just an extra instead of a full Braxton sister. Tamar said as she got older, she finally understood how unfair that was, and it made her mad at herself for staying quiet for so long. She said Tracy kept showing up, even when she knew the treatment wasn't equal, and that kind of loyalty hits completely different now that Tracy is no longer here. But the moment that shook fans the hardest was when Tamar spoke on Tony's opportunities, the huge ones. Tamar said there were plenty of chances where Tony could have insisted that Tracy be included, whether it was tours, background vocals, appearances, or brand deals. She hinted that Tony's team was constantly pushing her to keep the spotlight clean and uncluttered, like adding Tracy into the mix would complicate the image they were selling. She explained that Tony wasn't allowed to shake up the system, and that pressure ended up keeping Tracy out of rooms she deserved to be in. And while Tamar didn't point a finger at Tony in a harsh way, she didn't hide from the truth either. She said Tony was the only one who had enough power to push back, and sometimes she just didn't. Not because she didn't care about Tracy, not because she didn't love her, but because the industry made her feel like standing up would put everything she worked for at risk. Tamar said that kind of pressure can twist anybody up. When you're told your whole career depends on keeping things perfect, it makes you hesitate even when your heart is telling you to do the right thing. And hearing Tamar admit that now has fans looking at the whole Braxton story through a different lens. She painted a picture of a family caught in a system that forced them to make choices nobody ever should have to make. And in the middle of it all was Tracy, showing up, staying loyal, and trying to belong in a space that never fully opened its doors to her. And that's the part that hit Tamar the hardest, the idea that their eldest sister, the one with the biggest influence, the one whose name carried real weight, didn't realize how deep the situation cut Tracy until it was already too late. Tamar talked about how in later years, Tracy would speak on feeling like she was always trying to catch up, like she missed a train that never circled back for her. And hearing that now breaks Tamar in a way she can barely even explain. Tamar says she finally understands that Tracy never wanted pity. She wanted fairness. She wanted recognition. She wanted respect. She just wanted to feel like she belonged in the same dream she helped build. And Tamar revealed something that shook a lot of people. The family didn't truly grasp how heavy Tracy's pain was until her final years. She said that during those later moments, Tracy started opening up more, letting out feelings she had kept locked inside for decades. Not to restart old drama, not to point fingers, but because she wanted peace before her time was up. And Tamar said one thing she'll carry forever is how Tracy didn't want anyone to feel guilty. She didn't try to blame her sisters for chasing the opportunities in front of them. She simply wished the dream could have included her, too. And that type of strength, holding no grudges after everything she went through, made Tamar see Tracy in a whole new light. Almost like she was the quiet glue the family didn't even realize they needed until she was gone. When Tamar finally spoke up about all this, the internet exploded. Fans started pulling up old clips of Tracy, moments of her laughing, crying, walking away from arguments, or staying silent when things got heavy. And suddenly those scenes looked different. People were rewinding old episodes with brand new understanding, catching signs they didn't recognize before. Social media was filled with comments saying stuff like, "We didn't know she was carrying all that," and "Tracy deserved better." Tamar's honesty cracked open a conversation fans had been whispering about for years, and now it was finally out in the open for everyone to see. And suddenly everything hit completely different. Fans started saying the truth was always right there, and the way Tracy cracked jokes that were really covering hurt, and the way she stayed quiet when she felt disrespected, and the way she kept showing up even when the room made her feel unwanted. And Tamar said that's exactly why she's speaking up now, because she refuses to let the world remember Tracy as the left-out sister. She wants people to understand Tracy was the heartbeat of the whole family. Tamar explained that Tracy deserved way more love, way more protection, and way more recognition than she ever got. And what makes Tamar's words hit so strong is that she's not exposing this to tear the family apart. She's doing it because she wants healing. She said the Braxtons weren't broken because they didn't love each other. They were broken because they didn't fully understand each other. And that misunderstanding kept growing over the years. And now, with Tracy gone, Tamar says she hopes the truth finally helps the family find the closure they never gave themselves. She wants fans to know that Tracy wasn't sacrificed by choice. She was pushed aside by an industry that picks favorites, stirs division, and forces families into impossible decisions they end up regretting for the rest of their lives. And Tamar ended her message by saying Tracy deserved to be honored, not sidelined. She deserves spotlight, support, and protection. All the things that slipped through the cracks while the industry shaped the narrative. And now that everything is out in the open, Tamar hopes people will remember Tracy not as the sister who got left behind, but as the sister who loved the hardest, fought the quietest, and carried a strength nobody truly understood until later. She wants the world to say her name with respect, not pity, to recognize how much she gave, how much she endured, and how much she should have received in return. Tamar said speaking the truth is the only way she can make sure Tracy's legacy shines the way it always should have. And if you're still here listening to this story, hit that support button, join the community, and make sure you subscribe to Juicy Reel for more real, raw breakdowns just like this.
So my thing, I know where you live because I put down your down payment.
You sure did. Thank you so much for
and
that.
now that
Thank
you got
so
this
much
little
for the
accident, give me my money back. That was not a gift.
Not supposed to say anything. The only thing that brings us together is the cameras.
I can't wait to see it.
I won't be able to be there. But that's why I was calling you.
That made me very sad.
I know.
Let's dive into this because the Braxton family drama just flipped into something wild and straight up unbelievable. This whole situation between Tamar and Tawanda is way deeper than people thought, and it's loaded with broken trust, big money, and sisters turning on each other when they were supposed to be tight like glue. We're talking about $50,000. Not pocket change, not let me borrow a little something, but a real down payment.
Has been using my credit card to pay her phone bill.
My phone bill?
Now, Tony.
Beautiful.
So what?
Tamar handed Tawanda that money to lock in a house, a full-on place to live, something serious. But now Tawanda is out here acting like the cash was just some friendly gift, like Tamar just handed her 50 grand for fun. That's wild. And here's the thing. This isn't some random rumor someone made up online. There's a real property tied to this whole mess, a real listing, and actual receipts that link everything together.
I know where you live because I put down your down payment.
You sure did. Thank you so much for
and
that.
now that
Thank
you got
so
this
much
little
for the gift.
accident, give me my money back. That was not a gift.
A guy. Yes, it was. But it's
no,
okay.
you did.
The same house that popped up on their reality show lines up perfectly with what Tamar talked about. And that makes everything hit even harder. It's not just talk. It's real-life proof sitting in plain sight. What makes everything even more shocking is how the rest of the sisters decided to play it. Tony, Trina, all of them apparently knew exactly what went down, but instead of helping clear Tamar's name, they stood back and let people think she was being dramatic or even making stuff up. That's rough, especially when it's family and you expect them to step up when stuff gets messy.
You didn't. Tawanda told me her lender needed to see the money in her account and that she was waiting on a check and she would be giving me my money back. I was reluctant, but I said, okay.
Thank you so much.
You said I will pay you back the next day, and then you listed me as a creditor.
Oh my.
This whole thing is already sounding like the beginning of a storm, and it's only the first layer of the drama. That's cold on a whole different level, especially when you know someone is already battling their own mental and emotional struggles. Tamar has always kept it real about the things she's faced. She never hid that. So for her own family to gaslight her on national TV like she was confused or making things up, that's harsh. And here's the wild part. Tamar straight up told Tawanda on the show, I paid your down payment, and Tawanda didn't deny anything. She didn't argue. She didn't correct her. She actually thanked her right there in front of everybody. So how in the world does that suddenly turn into, it was a gift? Come on now. That's not how real agreements work, and everybody knows it.
It was absolutely a gift. And it wasn't that I approached her. She said, but I want to help you get, it's like, okay. And that's just something that we used to do as sisters, help each other.
Know the burden on you is the one that made it out. But you gotta be willing to let them fly.
I feel like I do. I feel like they don't let me.
What's making this whole situation even louder is what people have been whispering about Tawanda's money habits. Folks have been saying she's had issues with spending and borrowing before, and now everything Tamar said is starting to look way too real. Tamar even mentioned that Tawanda came into some money, something tied to a lawsuit or settlement, and even then she still didn't pay her back. That's the part that's got everyone raising their eyebrows. At this point, it's getting hard to defend Tawanda's actions because the whole thing looks less like sisterly support and way more like a straight-up betrayal. Seeing your own sister struggling and still acting like you don't owe her anything, that hits different. And listen, watching Tamar stay firm while everyone around her acted clueless, that speaks volumes. This was never just about the money. This was about loyalty, respect, and the truth being ignored while the whole world was watching. This part right here really exposes everything, because how are you living in a nice house, looking comfortable, pockets looking all right, but you still can't pay back the sister who helped you when you were down? That's the type of thing that makes people question everything, and that's wild for real. If someone comes through for you with that kind of support when you're struggling, the least you can do is make things right. Now let's break this down, because once you look at the real estate side of the story, the truth starts slipping out fast. When you're buying a house, every single dollar has to be tracked and explained. No mystery cash, no, it just showed up. None of that. The bank needs proof of where the money came from and exactly who sent it. You can get help from a family member, sure, but it all has to be in writing with full documentation, because lenders don't play around with big amounts. So if Tamar really transferred $50,000 to Tawanda, that clearly wasn't some casual, here, take this as a gift moment. This sounds much more like a short-term loan to make Tawanda look financially ready for the home purchase, the type of thing people do when they're trying to get approved and need their bank statements to look solid. That's why Tawanda suddenly calling it a gift doesn't match how real estate works at all. The numbers don't add up, the story doesn't line up, and the timing makes the whole thing look even more suspicious. It feels like someone changed the narrative after the fact. And here's where it goes, from messy to straight up unbelievable. Tamar reportedly said Tawanda promised she would return the money the very next day, like it was supposed to be a quick turnaround. But instead of paying her back, Tamar later finds out Tawanda listed her as a creditor in her bankruptcy case. That means Tawanda officially put Tamar on paperwork as someone she owed money to. Even though she was publicly claiming the money was a gift, That twist right there is the kind of thing that makes people stop and go, wait, what? This whole situation just keeps getting more intense with every detail. Like what? That's bold on a whole different level. Let me break this down real quick because this part right here is where things start looking real shady. Now, I'm not saying Tawanda actually did this, but some folks out there will list someone as a creditor in their bankruptcy just so the debt gets wiped clean. That way, they don't have to pay back the person who helped them in the first place. And guess who ends up losing? The same person who stepped up for them when they were struggling. That's messed up. And here's the part that makes everybody's eyebrows shoot up. There are real bankruptcy filings with Tamar's name on them, and it's public record. That alone backs up what Tamar has been saying from the jump. This isn't some rumor floating around. This is actual paperwork filed with the court. That gives the story a whole different weight. Now let's talk about the timeline because it hits hard. Tawanda bought her home in 2018, right? But by April 2019, she was already filing for bankruptcy. That's barely a year later. So what does that tell you? She took the $50,000, closed on the property, then turned around and filed for bankruptcy, like wiping her sister off the debt meant nothing. If that doesn't look like a setup, then what does? At this point, it really starts to feel like Tawanda never planned to pay Tamar back in the first place. And to make everything even stranger, Tamar says it was $50,000, while Tawanda keeps insisting it was only $35,000. Why can't the numbers even match up? How do you misremember tens of thousands of dollars? Somebody is clearly twisting the story, and it's not hard to see who benefits the most from all this confusion. You know what's wild? That whole $35,000 versus $50,000 argument actually makes sense once you really think about it. If someone borrowed money all the way back in 2018, and we're only talking about it now, years later, the amount could have easily gone up just from interest alone. So that difference Tawanda keeps talking about might not be some mystery. It might just be the result of her waiting forever to pay back what she owed. And let's keep it real. Tamar had proof. This wasn't some friendly little, oh, here's a sweet gift moment. There were receipts, documents, and actual bankruptcy records showing she was supposed to be repaid. So for Tawanda to sit there and act like the money was just a gift, that's not just wrong. That's straight up gaslighting your own sister while the whole world is watching. Like, how do you take something that serious and twist it into something casual just to protect your image? That's wild. Tawanda even tried to flip the story and make it look like Tamar was offering help she never asked for, trying to paint Tamar as controlling, like she was using money to hold something over her. But come on now, this wasn't the first time Tamar stepped in to help her. According to reports, Tamar had been covering Tawanda's phone bills. Not one line, not two lines. 6 phone lines, all on Tamar's own credit card. 6. Who even needs that many lines? That's not helping out a sister. That's taking advantage of somebody's kindness until they're drained. And here's the part that blows my mind even more. Tamar wasn't out here bragging about any of this. She wasn't running around telling everyone what she paid for or trying to embarrass anyone. She kept it quiet until the whole situation pushed her to speak up because things were getting twisted beyond recognition. That's when you know someone has really reached their limit. After all that, Tawanda had the nerve to act like she's the victim, like Tamar is the bad one just because she finally called her out. Come on now. If this were anybody else, people would be calling it exactly what it looks like, straight up taking someone's money and pretending nothing happened. Tamar had every right to take legal action, and the fact that she didn't shows how much she still cared about keeping the family together instead of seeking revenge. But instead of supporting her, the rest of the Braxton crew, Trina, Tony, even their mother Evelyn, all seemed to slide onto Tawanda's side. They actually defended her, and that's wild to see. There were even rumors going around that they wanted to call the police on Tamar, the same person who lost the money. How does that even make sense? How do you protect the one who took the money and turn on the one who trusted them? Somebody needs to explain that logic because it's not lining up at all. At this point, the whole situation is screaming jealousy and favoritism from miles away. It's clear some of the sisters can't stand how Tamar always finds herself in the spotlight, and instead of dealing with their own feelings, they gang up on her like that's going to fix anything, and Tawanda trying to deflect by bringing up Tony's condo situation. Please. There's a huge difference between asking your sister if she's staying somewhere temporarily and taking her money or using her credit cards without permission. One is a simple conversation. The other is a whole crime. Trying to lump those things together doesn't make Tawanda look innocent. It makes her look like she's scrambling to shift blame onto anything and anyone else. This part right here shows how twisted the whole thing became because instead of honesty and accountability, it turned into blame games and finger pointing. What really gets me is how Tony and Trina acted through all of this. They knew exactly what Tawanda did, the credit card situation, the money, all of it, and they still stood by her like nothing happened. How do you watch your own sister cross the line like that and still defend her? That's not loyalty. That's straight up enabling bad behavior. And here's the part that really hits. Tony even admitted on camera that she knew what was going on. She literally confirmed it herself. So that means the whole family knew the truth from the start. But instead of speaking up, they all circled around Tawanda like they were protecting her from the consequences. That's sad, because that's not what real family support looks like. That's not protecting someone. That's covering up wrongdoing just to keep the family image polished. And Tony's reaction, that little smug smirk when she said, "Family helps each other." Excuse me, since when does taking someone's money count as helping? Since when does taking $50,000, filing bankruptcy to dodge repayment, and maxing out your sister's credit card turn into family helping family? Be serious. That's not family support. That's taking advantage of someone who trusted you. And Tony's calm, unbothered attitude while all this was playing out just shows how deep the cracks run in that family when it comes to loyalty and fairness. Some people get protected no matter what they do, and some people get blamed no matter what they didn't do. But let's get to the part that sent chills down my spine. Tamar said, "You don't want to go blow for blow with me." That line right there showed she was sitting on a whole mountain of truths she'd been holding back for years. It made everything feel 10 times heavier, like this drama wasn't even close to being over. "I know where the bodies are buried. That's not just a comeback. That's a straight-up warning shot." That line tells me Tamar is sitting on way more receipts, way more secrets, and way more truth than anybody in that family wants to face. She was basically saying, "I've been quiet long enough, but if you push me, I'll drop everything." And honestly, after watching how her own family treated her, who could blame her if she finally let it all out? Because let's keep it real. Tamar got painted as the crazy one, the liar, the problem, the dramatic sister who always made things bigger than they were. But when you actually look at the paperwork, the dates, the money trail, everything lines up with exactly what she's been saying since day one. The proof is literally sitting right there in black and white. Let's break it down one more time. Tawanda gets the house in 2018 using Tamar's $50,000, and cool. But not even a year later, in 2019, she files for bankruptcy and lists Tamar as a creditor, which wipes out the debt completely. Then you've got the credit card situation. Unauthorized spending, multiple charges, and Tamar footing the bill without even knowing it first. And still, not one sister stepped up to defend Tamar. Not one single voice saying, "Hey, she's telling the truth." Instead, they all stayed quiet, acting like it was minor drama, brushing it off like it didn't matter. Why? Let's be honest. It comes down to jealousy, favoritism, or maybe a messy mix of both. Whatever the reason is, it's toxic. The truth is this. The Braxton sisters, especially Tawanda, betrayed Tamar in a way that cuts deep, period. Let's call it what it is. Tawanda acted like a sister who couldn't handle Tamar shining brighter, and instead of owning her actions, she slid into shady territory. And instead of holding her accountable, the family just turned their heads and let everything slide like it was normal. And what's worse, this wasn't a one-time slip-up. This was a pattern, a whole cycle of ignoring Tamar's side and protecting the one who caused the damage. This part right here shows how twisted the family dynamics really were and how much Tamar had to swallow just to keep the peace. Every single detail from Tamar's side, the money, the documents, the public records, all of it lines up perfectly. The evidence does not lie, and yet her sisters still threw her under the bus like none of it mattered. That's the part that hits the hardest, because the way they gaslighted Tamar in front of everybody was honestly sickening. Picture this. You lend your sister $50,000 out of pure love, just trying to help her get back on her feet. No drama, no pressure, just family supporting family. Then she doesn't pay you back, files bankruptcy to wipe the whole thing away, and somehow still flips the story to make you look unstable. That's not just sneaky. That's cold and calculated. And what makes it even worse is how the rest of the family played along like nothing was wrong, acting like Tamar was being too much or extra just for telling the truth. That's manipulation, emotional pressure dressed up as family loyalty, and it's exhausting watching someone get painted as dramatic when all they did was speak facts. Let's be honest, Tamar has had one of the strongest careers out of all the sisters besides Tony. She built her own lane, dropped hits, had major TV moments, created iconic moments, and earned real success that people still talk about. And you know what comes with success? Jealousy. And you can feel it heavy in this situation. It's like Tawanda couldn't stand watching Tamar win while she was still struggling. So what did she do? She found a way to benefit from Tamar's kindness, took advantage of her support, and when the truth came to the surface, she played the victim like she was the one wronged. And instead of correcting things, the rest of the family closed ranks around Tawanda like the whole situation was just a misunderstanding. They acted like nothing happened, like Tamar was making noise for no reason, like the evidence wasn't sitting right there in plain sight. This right here shows exactly how deep the jealousy and favoritism runs and how fast people will flip a story when someone else's success makes them uncomfortable. What does that really say? It tells Tamar loud and clear that her money is good enough for them, but her feelings don't matter. Her truth doesn't matter. It's basically saying, we'd rather protect the one who did wrong than the one who got wronged. That's not loyalty. That's toxicity wrapped up in a pretty bow and labeled family. Because real family doesn't cover up lies or defend someone's bad actions just because they share the same last name. Real family checks you when you're wrong, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it hurts. That's what accountability is supposed to look like. And for anybody trying to shrug this off as just family drama, let's be serious for a second. This isn't some petty argument or little disagreement. We're talking about fraud, financial betrayal, and straight-up theft. Tamar could have pressed charges if she wanted to. She had every right to, but she didn't. And why? Because she still loved her sister enough to protect her, even after being hurt. And what did she get back in return? Lies, denial, public embarrassment. Tawanda acting innocent after everything that happened is next-level boldness. Tamar gave her grace, and Tawanda turned that grace into another weapon against her. And you know what makes this whole situation even more twisted? The way Tamar's silence has been flipped and used against her. People see her staying quiet and think she's over it or being dramatic, but that's not what silence always means. Sometimes being quiet comes from being done, not defeated. She's had to sit back and watch her family rewrite the story in real time, acting like things happen differently, acting like she's exaggerating, acting like the truth is optional, and instead of defending her, they used her vulnerability as a tool to make her look unstable, like her pain didn't count, like her voice wasn't worth listening to. This wasn't just betrayal. It was emotional pressure dressed up as family loyalty. And seeing her pushed aside like that says everything about how deep the divide really is. That's not peace, that's pressure. Behind the scenes, insiders have said Tamar has been distancing herself from all the chaos for real. No more family vacations, no more group interviews, no more pretending everything is sunshine when it's not. She's choosing her peace, and honestly, that might be the smartest move she's ever made. Because what do you do when your own bloodline becomes the source of your pain? You protect yourself, even if it means stepping away from the people you love the most. Sometimes survival means creating distance, even if it hurts. Meanwhile, Tawanda has been moving like nothing ever went down, smiling online, doing interviews, acting unbothered, like her whole reputation isn't hanging by a thread. It's almost like she's trying to outshine the scandal by pretending it never existed, like if she ignores it long enough, everybody else will too. But the internet doesn't forget. Every time her name comes up, people still mention that bankruptcy filing and that missing $50,000. That's a stain no PR trick, no interview, and no pretending can wash away. What makes this even more heartbreaking is how divided the fan base is now. Some folks are still praying the sisters can work things out someday, but a lot of people are completely done. They see the pattern clear as day. Every single time Tamar tells her truth, the family gaslights her until she looks like the villain in her own story. It's a cycle, a deep, messy cycle, and this time it feels like she's finally breaking it. She's choosing herself, choosing her healing, choosing peace over pretending. And honestly, this whole situation shows how fame, money, and pride can wreck a family from the inside out. The Braxton name used to represent unity, talent, and sisterhood, but now it's tangled up with betrayal, jealousy, and silence that says way more than words ever could. Tamar's story isn't just about the money. It's about the emotional hit that comes from loving people who keep proving they don't love you the same way back. And the saddest part, that wound didn't come from strangers. It came from home. At this point, it's hard not to shake your head at how deep this betrayal really runs. It's one thing to make a mistake, but it's a whole different level of boldness to keep pretending nothing ever happened while the person you hurt is left carrying all the weight. Tamar tried to protect her sister, tried to keep the peace, tried to hold the family together, and somehow she still got painted as the villain. That kind of emotional damage, no amount of money could ever fix that. You can feel the shift too. The vibe between the sisters isn't what it used to be. Every interview, every post, every moment they're seen together, there's this quiet tension that speaks louder than words ever could. And even though Tamar has been staying silent, that silence is powerful. Sometimes the strongest clapback is peace, and it's starting to show exactly who's been in the wrong all along. Meanwhile, watching Tawanda act like everything's smooth while the receipts are out in the open, whew! That's a whole different level of audacity. She's smiling for the cameras, posting online like nothing ever went down. But let's be real, the internet does not forget. People remember the filings, the money trail, the credit card drama, every loose detail that still doesn't add up. And every single time Tawanda's name starts trending, those same stories pop right back up. You can try your hardest to clean up your image, but you can't erase the truth, especially when the truth is sitting in public records. And honestly, this whole situation is a reminder that sometimes family drama hits harder than anything else. Because betrayal from someone who shares your blood, that cut hits deeper than anything. Tamar deserved honesty, not humiliation. Support, not silence. Truth, not twisted narratives. And after watching how everything went down, nobody can blame her for stepping back to protect her peace. That's the full breakdown, the truth behind the Braxton chaos. So drop your thoughts in the comments because this one has the whole internet divided. Do you think Tamar should finally air everything out or let it go for good? And before you scroll away, make sure you hit that subscribe button because more shocking celebrity twists and messy receipts are coming your way. And if you really want to keep the drama rolling, subscribe to the Juicy Real channel. That's where the real tea never sleeps.
So apparently when it comes down to the Braxtons coming out with the season 2, production definitely put a pause on it due to all the sisters getting into it with Tamar. And for those who don't know, Tamar is not a friend of the show this season. She came on as like a main character or main cast member, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? But she decided to bring on Ashley. And for those who don't know, Ashley is their niece from their brother, Mike.
Trina is straight up calling out Tamar, blasting her for messing up their whole show with wild behavior, and the Braxton drama queen is spinning the block again with full force chaos. This situation is getting louder by the minute, and nobody can pretend it's calm anymore. The tension between Tamar and Trina has been heating up for months, and now the mess is spilling right into the production of their show like a busted fire hydrant.
You're right, the show's supposed to do it because it's supposed to show real-life family. We have a real-life family, and real-life family goes through real-life situations. You're not going to get along all the time. You're not going to see eye to eye all the time, and everybody has their own journey, period. That's just it. So if you come on here talking about, oh, Tawanda is jealous, she's so jealous. How can I be jealous of one sister and not jealous of Toni Braxton?
Word in the streets is that producers are hesitant to push forward because the drama has gotten way too unpredictable, even for TV. It's crazy because everyone knows producers usually love when things get messy on camera. So what did Tamar actually pull off this time? The talk on the curb is that Tamar was the one who exposed Trina's ex for allegedly acting like a creep and targeting younger women. And one thing everybody knows about Trina is that she does not play about her man, her partner, or any guy she chooses to stand beside. That kind of accusation hit her pride like a brick thrown through a window. But that's not the whole storm, because Tamar is also claiming that Trina is trying to turn their sisters against her and freeze her out of the family circle. She's basically saying Trina is moving like a mastermind, pulling strings behind closed doors, trying to isolate her from everyone she grew up with.
I want to clear up some discrepancies, though. These people asking me, hey, guys, have you spoken to Tamar? You guys talking to Tamar? You talk to Tamar? Of course. As I stated before, regardless on what happens, if any of my sisters call me, I'm going to pick up the phone and answer. If they need me, if they text me, I'm going to respond. And that's just the bottom line. That's just what it is. However,
Things are getting real intense around that family table. So does this mean Tamar is drifting away from the rest of the Braxton sisters? And why does it seem like nobody is stepping up to defend her right now? The streets need answers, because the silence around her is becoming louder than the drama itself. The buzz really kicked up a couple days ago when rumors dropped that Toni Braxton had walked off set during filming, sending shockwaves through the crew and leaving everyone confused about what triggered her reaction. According to one report, insiders revealed something wild. Toni Braxton straight up walked off the set while they were filming the new season of The Braxtons. The Grammy winner is tired of the non-stop sister drama, and she's not holding back anymore.
Sensitive to other people's boundaries, and I respect people's boundaries regardless on what it is. If I agree or not, I'm going to respect your boundaries. If you say you don't feel like it, or you don't want to beg, you want to do this, guess what? I'm going to respect your boundaries by not crossing those lines. That's just it. And that's it. You know? If this person said, you act like you hard, you got a wall that makes it seem like you don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's not that. What it is that I have respectfully learned to compartmentalize the things that is more important. And it's not important for me to do anything other than to protect my peace. That's it. That's just it.
Well, y'all, the comment section was a disaster, with folks claiming Tawanda is just bitter about Tamar's success.
Toni said that when Tracy passed, they made a promise to her that they would stay united, but now everything is falling apart, and the tension has only gotten worse. Some sources were trying to make it sound like the situation had something to do with Toni herself, but in reality, everything was boiling over between Tamar and Trina. And to make things even more complicated, there was also a little situation involving their other sister, Tawanda, but the main fire was definitely burning between Tamar and Trina. Their energy has been clashing so hard that people on set could practically feel the sparks popping in the air. The chaos between these sisters didn't just pop up out of nowhere either. It's been bubbling for a long time now, and last season was already pure madness. Their series, The Braxtons, has been airing for a good minute, and every episode made it more obvious that the tension between them was impossible to hide. They'd sit in the same room, smile for the cameras, but the vibe would hit different, like everyone was trying to pretend the room wasn't full of stress. Sure, every sister had her own struggles and her own moments of drama last season, but something about the way Tamar and Trina interacted felt completely off. Their energy wasn't just awkward, it was like they were carrying unspoken grudges and unfinished arguments that kept leaking through the screen. This wasn't your regular, everyday disagreement. This was something deeper that had been simmering for a long time. Sibling disagreements happen, but this situation feels way deeper than a simple back and forth. You'd think they would be more supportive this time, especially since so much of the season focused on Tracy's passing in 2022, which left a huge emotional mark on all of them. Losing a family member is never easy, and losing a sister hits in a way that stays with you, no matter how strong you try to act. To deal with everything weighing on them, the sisters started going to therapy together, trying to heal as a unit. The show even filmed them in a group grief counseling session with a therapist named Spirit, where they tried to unpack everything they've been carrying. But even inside that safe space, Tamar and Tawanda just couldn't keep the peace, and the tension crawled right back in like it never left. Tamar came at Tawanda, accusing her of not putting real effort into keeping their bond alive. Tawanda didn't back down for a second, saying she was focusing on her own well-being and setting her own boundaries to protect her peace. And honestly, those two barely talk these days, which tells you how deep this rift has gotten. If you ask Tamar, she fully believes the only reason Tawanda even picks up her calls or replies to her texts is because the cameras are rolling and the show needs them to look connected. That belief alone shows how much the trust between them has cracked, and it's turning every conversation into a bigger issue than it needs to be. Tamar said, "It's a matter of respect. I respect where people are. She meant it, but the whole vibe still felt heavy because the room had tension you could almost touch. And it's one thing when family drama happens behind closed doors, but when the whole world gets a front row seat to the mess, the pressure gets hotter and everything feels 10 times louder. Fans have definitely noticed the uncomfortable energy between them, and it's getting harder to ignore how tense things feel on screen. At this point, nobody can tell if they're actually trying to fix their bond or if they've accepted that their relationship might never go back to how it used to be. One thing is clear. This whole situation is heavy, and something in the air says this mess isn't calming down anytime soon. People haven't forgotten when Tawanda jumped on live last year to talk about her relationship with Tamar and said this, right? She said, "Yeah, I wanna clear up some discrepancies though. My piece. That's it. That's just it." She made it sound simple, but the message was loaded, and everybody felt it. The comment section turned into a full-on disaster zone, with folks jumping in claiming Tawanda was bitter about Tamar's success. Tamar has built a strong career in music, reality TV, and live television, and she's out here stacking achievements while staying booked and busy. Tawanda is also working hard and building her own path, but the internet never cares about balance. People will always pick sides and stir trouble just to keep the conversation hot. In this case, Tamar's fans were convinced that the only reason Tawanda went live and spoke on Tamar the way she did was because she was secretly bothered by Tamar's success. They painted the whole situation like it was jealousy in disguise, tossing opinions around as if they knew every detail of what happens behind closed doors. But one thing about Tawanda, she's not the type to let people talk wild about her without stepping up and clapping back in her own way. She's always been the kind of woman who will defend her name, keep her dignity, and shut down any storyline she feels is twisting the truth. And trust me when I say she dragged Tamar's fans, she dragged them with no hesitation. She wasn't holding back at all, and the whole internet felt that energy instantly. When Tawanda got married a few days ago, Tamar was the only sister who didn't get an invite, and this wasn't some accident or oversight. That absence spoke louder than any statement they could have posted, and it showed just how deep the cracks in their bond really are. Last season was already a full, hot mess, but most people thought they had finally handled their issues like grown, mature women ready to turn the page. But according to new reports, things got so explosive behind the scenes that production had to hit the brakes and temporarily pause filming. One report even said that producers shut down taping of the Braxtons after a heated blow-up between Tamar and her sisters that got way too intense for cameras. Season 2 is supposed to drop this summer, and fans were hyped. But after everything that went down with Tamar and Tawanda last season, everyone assumed the argument must have been about those two again. But then Trina stepped in and made it extremely clear that she and Tamar were the ones going through a rough patch. She posted, "To everyone who has distanced themselves from me, kindly stay there." That line hit like a warning shot, and the internet immediately started digging for clues. So what happened between these two women, and why is Trina this upset with Tamar? The streets are talking, and the whispers are pointing to a situation involving their niece, Ashley, and Trina's ex being exposed for inappropriate behavior. Ashley allegedly claimed she told Trina that her husband, Gabe Solis, was being creepy. But Trina didn't take her side and instead stood with her husband, even though she knew what he did. That decision left a stain on their relationship and brought a lot of hurt feelings into the mix. Now the whole situation is circling back around, resurfacing at the worst possible time, and Tamar speaking on it reportedly reopened wounds Trina wasn't ready to deal with. Their family history is tangled, emotional, and complicated, which makes this new fallout even harder to navigate. Now, Gabe, may he rest in peace, was definitely not the ideal partner for Trina, and that became clear over the years. He spent a big part of their 12-year marriage being unfaithful, and eventually Trina matched the energy because their relationship was so tangled that calling it toxic almost feels too simple. Their dynamic was messy, unpredictable, and full of twists that nobody could have scripted. Even with all the chaos, they somehow kept circling back to each other, no matter how bad things got. And of course, every bit of it played out on Braxton family values for the world to witness, which only made their situation even more intense. So when people heard rumors that Gabe may have crossed boundaries in ways he shouldn't have, it sadly didn't shock anyone, because he already had a reputation for letting his eyes wander. Now, for anyone who doesn't know Ashley Braxton, she's the daughter of Michael Braxton, the older brother of the famous Braxton sisters. She started gaining attention online when she shared a serious story about how one of her aunts allegedly sided with her husband in a way that left her feeling pushed out of the family and manipulated. That story hit the internet like a lightning bolt, and because it involved a Braxton, it exploded fast. The details Ashley shared were intense, emotional, and deeply personal. And the fact that it involved family only made everything even heavier. Ashley, who is now 32, explained that everything happened back when she was much younger, during a time when she assumed her family home was a safe space. She said she had gone to visit her aunt, the way any relative would, expecting nothing unusual, expecting normal family warmth. But according to her, while she was there, her aunt's husband started behaving in ways that made her deeply uncomfortable, crossing boundaries no person should ever cross. She described his actions as inappropriate and unsettling, and the moment stuck with her for years because she felt blindsided by someone who should have been trustworthy. Ashley also claimed that instead of supporting her or protecting her, her aunt allegedly downplayed the situation and stood with her husband, which made Ashley feel isolated and unheard. That choice left a long-lasting scar, and the emotional fallout shaped the tension that still exists within parts of the Braxton family today. Things took an even darker turn when Ashley said he started sending her messages that were completely out of line and wildly inappropriate for any young family member to receive from an adult. That kind of situation can shake anyone, especially when it comes from someone who was supposed to be part of the trusted family circle. Ashley eventually went back home, completely rattled by the whole experience and unsure how to even process what had happened. But the situation didn't stay hidden for long, because her stepmother ended up coming across the messages and instantly knew something was wrong. She didn't waste a single moment. She brought everything straight to Michael Braxton, because a situation like that can't be brushed aside. Michael was deeply disturbed by what he saw, shocked that something this serious could be connected to his own family. He immediately reached out to his sister, Ashley's aunt, to talk through what was going on and figure out the truth. But according to Ashley, the reaction she got wasn't what anyone would expect from a relative hearing something this serious. Instead of approaching the situation with concern, calm, or any form of accountability, Ashley claims her aunt defended her husband and flipped the situation back onto her. That move left Ashley feeling even more hurt, confused, and betrayed, especially since she believed her aunt was supposed to be the person who stood up for her during something so heavy. Reports also say Ashley explained that her stepmother and father saw multiple inappropriate messages exchanged between herself and her aunt's partner, and that's what pushed them to act fast. Ashley said that in the beginning, her aunt appeared loving, supportive, and genuinely upset about what Ashley went through, which made her believe she had someone in her corner. But over time, Ashley felt like her aunt switched up, pulling away emotionally and no longer showing the same understanding she had at the start. That shift left Ashley feeling isolated, like the situation was being swept under the rug instead of handled properly, which only made the emotional damage even deeper. The whole situation grew into this heavy cloud hanging over the family, and every layer that came out later only made the story more explosive. Ashley said that as she got older, she started to fully understand how off everything felt, and it hit her that it was strange her aunt seemed comfortable with her partner's behavior given the circumstances. She said it felt like the love she expected from her own family just disappeared, like it was cut off without warning, leaving her confused and hurt. She went on to explain that her unnamed aunt acted like Ashley somehow started the whole situation or was part of the problem, and blaming someone that young made the whole thing even more painful. Ashley said that through therapy she finally learned how she coped at the time, but also understood that none of the blame belonged on her because she should have never been put near a situation like that in the first place. Ashley shared that she opened up to friends who had gone through similar experiences, and she said it hurts her that this is something they can bond over because it's the kind of pain nobody should ever relate to. She spoke about it with honesty, showing how heavy it still feels even now. Ashley didn't reveal which aunt it was, and she kept that part private, but the timeline gave people enough clues to start connecting dots. The situation reportedly went down 16 years ago, which made fans start looking at who the Braxton sisters were married to during that period. And that's when things got even louder online. At that time, the list looked like this. Trina was married to Gabriel Solis, Tamar was married to Daryl Lumby, Tracy was with Kevin Surratt, and Tawanda was with Andre Carter. Breaking down the timeline like that made people look at each marriage differently, trying to understand which household the situation may have happened in, and the discussions got intense fast. But even with all that speculation, the only thing Ashley made clear is that her pain came from someone inside the family circle, someone she trusted. And that realization alone still hits hard whenever she talks about it. So technically, any one of them could be the Aunt Ashley was talking about. And since she was careful not to drop a single name, it became almost impossible to know exactly who she meant without more details. But let's be real for a second. When has the internet ever waited for full details before jumping into detective mode? The moment Ashley's video started gaining traction, people did what they always do. They started digging like it was their full-time job. Fans and online sleuths went straight into investigation mode, scrolling through old interviews, reality show clips, past family arguments, and every little piece of Braxton drama they could find, looking for any clue that might expose who she meant. And honestly, considering how much of the Braxton family's life has played out on reality TV for years, there was plenty of material to sift through. Every season had its own storm, its own storyline, and its own moment that made people think, wait, could this be the clue? People love a mystery, and this one had the kind of tension that keeps the internet glued to their screens. The first big clue Ashley gave was that the man involved was allegedly doing something similar on television, and that detail made fans lock in even harder. Because anyone who has followed the Braxtons for a while knows that their family has never been shy about showing real problems on camera. Their highs and lows have played out in full color, sometimes messy, sometimes emotional, but always very real. Once Ashley dropped that detail, the internet instantly started connecting it to moments they remembered from the show. Moments where certain husbands were acting questionable, crossing lines, or just moving strange on camera. Viewers started reposting old clips, breaking them down frame by frame, like they were solving a crime scene. And the fact that the Braxton family has been open about their issues on and off screen only added fuel to the investigation frenzy, because people felt like all the clues were hiding right there in years of footage waiting to be spotted. Looks like the so-called #1 stunner Birdman just dropped a bombshell. Hungry Mud, better known to the streets as Toni Braxton, is catching heat after Birdman supposedly put her on blast for being a straight-up gold digger. The talk going around is wild. Birdman's allegedly saying Toni bled his bank account dry, dipped the second the cash stopped flowing, and now she's creeping right back toward being broke again. And let's be real, Toni Braxton going broke wouldn't exactly be breaking news. This ain't her first time dancing with financial disaster. She's already been through 2 bankruptcies and got a history of spending big like the money would never run out. Folks are connecting the dots, but now with Birdman speaking out, the whole story's taking a messy new turn. People in Toni's corner are saying Birdman's just salty and trying to twist the truth. But others can't help but wonder, did she really play him dirty? The streets are buzzing about the allegations, the cash trail, and the chaos that followed. This could go down as one of the messiest R&B relationship scandals ever. And here's the kicker. Reports claim Toni tried to walk away from Birdman with a jaw-dropping $160 million divorce payout after being married for less than a month. Yeah, you heard that right. Some say she didn't even stick around long enough to act like a wife. Word is, she separated from Birdman just 2 days after saying I do. Less than a month after tying the knot, Toni slammed the brakes, filing for divorce and saying the marriage was done for good with zero hope of fixing it. But here's where the drama went from spicy to straight-up jaw-dropping. If those money figures floating around are even close to real, we're not talking about a little breakup payout. We're talking Olympic-level audacity. With her past bankruptcies, high-end shopping habits, and long list of money woes, people can't help but wonder if this whole thing was a setup from the start. Fans are side-eyeing hard. Did Miss Unbreak My Heart really marry the so-called #1 stunner just for the bag? And seriously, how did Birdman not see this play coming? The streets are still choking over the fact that she thought she deserved $160 million after being married for only 2 days. That's why a lot of people are now riding with Birdman and calling her a gold digger without hesitation. I mean, how do you walk away that quick and still think you've earned a fortune? Sure, the Birdman-Toni split went official back in 2019, but the plot got even messier when Birdman claimed that in 2023, she started circling back, dropping flirty hints, sending signals, and basically acting like she was ready to spin the block. From the way he tells it, she was sliding back in like nothing ever happened. But Birdman says he wasn't biting, 'cause by then he'd already moved on with his life. According to Birdman, Toni just wouldn't quit. She kept pressing, kept popping up, and slowly but surely, those old sparks started flying again. One thing led to another, and before long, they were back together like nothing had ever gone down. They rode that wave for about a year, and then on August 8th, 2020, they finally said, I do. But here's the wild twist. Just 2 days later, Toni hit him with divorce papers. In the court docs she filed that September, she even listed their separation date as August 10th, literally 48 hours after the wedding. Fans are still scratching their heads trying to figure out what could have possibly happened in that tiny window, but the whole thing smells shady from every angle. And the $160 million she's gunning for, fans are straight up shook. Even 50 Cent jumped into the mix on Instagram, clowning the situation, saying, "Now watch, women are gonna say, well, If you stuck around for 16 years, you'd want to be paid for it. Only, in this case, it wasn't 16 years. It was barely 2 days. Word on the street is Birdman now believes Tony was never about love. It was always about the money. And honestly, when you realize his net worth is sitting around $160 million, and she's allegedly trying to grab every last dime, it's not hard to see why he's heated. She didn't even make it a full week as Mrs. Birdman before calling it quits, and insiders say he's been fuming ever since, dragging her behind the scenes and telling anyone who'll listen that she's nothing but a gold digger. Birdman's not holding back. No filters, no sugarcoating. He's saying straight up that he got played, and some insiders are backing him up heavy. The whispers are that Tony didn't just try to hit him for his money through the courts. Oh no, she allegedly took it even further, trying to unload some of his jewelry when she couldn't get her hands on the cash directly. Messy? Absolutely. But should anyone really be shocked? Not if they know Tony's history with money. Back in the 90s, she was one of the biggest stars on the planet, raking in serious cash, yet somehow managed to lose it all. Not once, but twice. Her first bankruptcy in 1998 was a full-on industry bombshell. Fans couldn't wrap their heads around how someone who'd sold millions of records could suddenly be broke. But the drama didn't stop there. By 1999, the money troubles were still spiraling and the headlines were brutal. At one point, she even sat down with Oprah to set the record straight. But that move backfired big time. Oprah pressed her on her spending habits and straight up called out the reckless choices that got her buried in debt in the first place. Instead of taking accountability, Tony clapped back on live TV, accusing Oprah of being mean and painting herself as the victim, saying, "People look down on me." She did manage to bounce back after that first bankruptcy, and for a minute, it looked like she might have finally gotten her finances under control. That comeback? It didn't last. By 2010, Tony was back in the headlines, filing for bankruptcy again, and this time, the numbers were even uglier. Reports say she claimed her debts were somewhere between $10 million and $50 million. That's not just a money problem, that's a full-blown financial meltdown. Tony pointed the finger at the sudden collapse of her Las Vegas residency, which was canceled after she was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. But that wasn't the only storm she was facing. There were big insurance disputes, messy battles over coverage, and a mountain of unpaid taxes stacking up behind the scenes. Since then, insiders say she's been quietly fighting to keep her head above water, and the stats tell the story. The music just isn't moving like it used to. Her last album barely sold 7,000 copies and only climbed as high as number 163 on the Billboard 200. The one before that? Around 16,000 copies. For someone who once ruled the charts, those numbers scream trouble. With record sales flatlining, her main money stream shifted to the Braxton Family Values reality show. But even that fame glow has dimmed. The buzz around the show has slowed in recent years, and without constant media attention or chart-topping hits, the pressure has been building hard. The cracks in the empire are starting to show, and fast. Now fans are seriously questioning if Tony's whole Birdman comeback was about love or straight-up survival. Word was already floating around that she was just inches away from a third bankruptcy. And then, Out of nowhere, she pops back up in Birdman's life after more than 4 years apart. The timing? Way too perfect for some people's liking. It's got folks thinking she was chasing that bag, not the man. Because let's be real, when they suddenly reunited in 2023, nobody could make sense of it. Tony had spent years swearing they were over for good, even saying there was no chance of a reunion. She once snapped, "Who do you think I am? Don't you know that he was my man?" Making it crystal clear she was done. So when she pulled a complete U-turn and started cozying back up to him, fans instantly smelled something fishy. Now with Birdman publicly spilling tea and airing every bit of dirty laundry, people are starting to believe the whole reunion was just a calculated move for money from day one. And honestly, the clues were already there before this latest storm even hit. Remember that super awkward 2022 interview on Tamron Hall? Tony was there to open up about her lupus diagnosis. It was supposed to be raw, heartfelt, and personal. But the second Tamron brought up Birdman's name, the energy shifted. Tony went stiff, avoided eye contact, and the tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Fans watching could feel it. Something behind the scenes was off. And when she brushed it off with, "I'm just not feeling it anymore," it spoke volumes without saying much at all. And just like that, she came back again. Yeah, this Tony and Birdman saga has been nothing but a roller coaster since way back in 2016. On again, off again, and even when they were on, the whole relationship had people scratching their heads. Flashback to 2018, Birdman drops down on one knee with a massive $5 million yellow diamond ring. We're talking flashy, over the top, and blinding enough to have everybody talking. It looked like a straight-up fairy tale moment, until things got weird. Suddenly, radio silence. No wedding date, no real updates, just scattered rumors and an awkward vibe in the air. To a lot of fans, that engagement felt more like a publicity stunt than a love story. Then the wedding kept getting delayed, postponed, pushed further and further back. Tony blamed bad timing, but nobody was really buying it. And then came the red flag to end all red flags. Tony claimed she lost the $5 million engagement ring. Said she left it on a flight, the baggie it was in got returned, but the ring, gone, just vanished into thin air. Now how do you accidentally misplace a diamond like that? The streets are whispering that she didn't lose it at all. She allegedly pawned it to cover some serious debt. And honestly, with her track record, it wouldn't exactly shock anyone. Word is, she's been desperate for cash, and that ring might have been her quickest ticket to a payday. So, according to the whispers, Tony did what some in her position might do. She sold the most valuable thing she had at the time. That $5 million engagement ring. At first, Birdman didn't trip. He really believed her story about losing it and even played it cool in an interview, brushing it off like it was nothing. But if these rumors are true, that laid-back attitude didn't last. Birdman eventually found out the real deal. The ring wasn't lost at all. She had allegedly sold it behind his back. Once the truth hit, they tried to patch things up, but the damage was done. The engagement was dead, and before long, the whole relationship came crashing down. Fast forward to now, and it's looking like Tony might be running the same playbook all over again. Only this time, Birdman's not falling for it. From the outside, it seems like he's finally spotted the pattern. And he's not about to let history repeat itself. When you connect all the dots, the missing $5 million ring, the back-to-back bankruptcies, and that jaw-dropping $160 million divorce demand after just 2 days of marriage, the picture that forms is, let's just say, not a good look. And just when people thought the Tony Birdman saga couldn't get any messier, new whispers started swirling, the kind that make fans lean all the way in. Word is, after that explosive $160 million divorce demand and the ring drama, Tony didn't exactly back off. In fact, insiders claim she started making quiet moves to win Birdman's trust again, but with a whole different angle this time. Allegedly, she began showing up at events where she knew he'd be, playing it cool in public but dropping subtle hints in private that she just wanted to talk. Some even say she floated the idea of collaborating on music again, knowing full well Birdman's business connections could open the door to quick cash. But here's where it gets even wilder. Sources close to Birdman say he's been keeping receipts this time. Literal receipts. Word is, he's got text messages, photos, and maybe even recorded calls that paint a very different picture of Tony's motives. And if those ever hit the public, whew, it could blow the lid off the whole thing. Now, with Birdman standing firm and refusing to play into what he sees as the same old game, the tension is at an all-time high. Fans are split down the middle, some calling Tony a hustler just trying to survive, others calling her out as a master manipulator who plays long-term for the payday. Either way, if these rumors keep coming, this might end up being one of the messiest celebrity relationship sagas of the decade. And it's not over yet, vicious. Birdman might have been blinded by love in the beginning, but now? He's calling it exactly how he sees it, and he's not sugarcoating a single word. If these latest whispers are true, Tony may have just fumbled the bag for good, though some say she was chasing it from the jump. Now that the truth is starting to unravel, the real question is, how deep does this rabbit hole go? Is Birdman just bitter, or is he about to be a man about it and expose the side of Tony that's been hiding in plain sight all along? One thing's for sure, two things for certain. This saga is far from over. If you want all the latest tea as it spills, make sure you hit that subscribe button on Juicy Reel, where the drama never sleeps.
What I am asking about is my child.
Do I know where you live?
Well, of course you don't come. So
Exactly.
my
So
thing,
how would I
I know
give
where
it
you
to
live because I put down your down payment.
Beautiful.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit.
Toni Braxton has been losing it ever since she found out that Tamar was allegedly getting too close with her man. And not just rumors close, but crossing the line close.
But what you steal?
I don't steal anything.
You don't? You sold men.
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them
Oh,
a few times.
Who? What man?
Do not get the link.
Oh, bitch. Dirty, low-down ass bitch.
Oh, you're such a liar. Such a liar.
Man, he said he Tawanda.
You know that's a lie.
I swear to God.
That's a lie. Which God are you trying to?
Your man for? You think too? Don't you?
This whole situation has turned into pure chaos, and fans are saying this might be the moment that finally rips the Braxton family apart for good. Tony's reportedly furious, claiming she'll never forgive Tamar for this one, and honestly, who could blame her? It's one thing to deal with random women acting wild around your man, but your own sister? That's betrayal on a whole other level, and some wounds just don't heal. People who've been around the Braxtons say the tension in that family dinner was thick enough to cut with a knife. Everyone was whispering, and Tawanda, always the one who accidentally spills the tea, dropped the mother of all bombs right in front of everyone. Tony's face froze, Tamar went silent, and you could practically feel the air leave the room. Now fans are wondering if this is really the end of the Braxton sisterhood, or if the sisters are once again pulling a setup.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Framing Tamar as the family scapegoat like they've done before. Either way, this drama's exploding, and nobody's walking away clean this time. Dinner was supposed to be calm, but with the Braxtons, that never happens. Within minutes, voices were raised and Tamar snapped, throwing shade right at Tawanda. She reminded her that the only reason Tawanda even has a house is because she was the one who put down the payment. "Don't forget who made that happen," Tamar allegedly shouted, and the table went silent. But she didn't stop there. She hit her sister with another bomb, accusing Tawanda of secretly using her credit card for years without permission.
Right.
Hey, you killed it, man. Babe, I was trying to go crazy. I wanted to call him.
Tony, the nigga was the #1 trending topic. I tried to tell him, I showed him.
Now, according to the bankruptcy papers floating around, Tawanda is drowning in debt. We're talking $500,000 deep. The same paperwork shows Tamar had lent her around $35,000 for that home down payment, which makes the whole situation even messier. Tamar straight up called Tawanda a thief, and honestly, fans say she might not be lying. People still remember when Tawanda made headlines for allegedly stealing their mom's Social Security checks, and even Tony has accused her of taking money behind her back. Tawanda clearly doesn't mind helping herself to other people's stuff, so when Tamar threw shade saying the T in her name stands for thief, it sent everyone over the edge. But here's where things flipped fast. Tawanda didn't even let Tamar finish before she came for blood. She clapped back and started dragging out Tamar's own dirty secrets for everyone to hear.
So I'm 16, I'm at my aunt's house, and when I leave, I'm there for the summer, her partner decides, her husband at the time decides to start sexting me. So sexting in a sexual manner, okay? There was nothing physical that happened, absolutely nothing physical.
What came out of her mouth had Tamar spiraling, and it only got uglier from there. Tawanda didn't hold back. She hit Tamar with the lowest blow imaginable. In front of everyone, she accused Tamar of being a thief too, claiming she stole Tony's man. The name of the guy was censored out in the footage for legal reasons, but fans say you could feel the tension explode through the screen.
As the years have evolved, that has turned into, it's your fault. It's turned into, you were old enough to know right from wrong. And it's turned into something physical happened and you did it. And for me, that's mind-boggling to me, because if there was something that was physical that happened, and I'm 16 years old, this makes this person a, right, you know the word, and I can't.
Whatever Tawanda said, it struck deep, because Tamar's reaction was instant. Her face dropped, her eyes went wide, and then she snapped. The next few seconds were pure chaos. Tamar started screaming, knocking over drinks, and swearing up and down that Tawanda was lying through her teeth. The table turned into a war zone, and everyone was frozen, trying to figure out if Tawanda had just exposed the biggest Braxton family scandal ever. But in the middle of all that madness, Tony's reaction said everything. She didn't yell, she didn't move. She just sat there, completely stunned. You could see the heartbreak written all over her face after all those years of having Tamar's back, of defending her when everyone else turned away. This was the ultimate betrayal. And to make things worse, Tony realized Tawanda had been sitting on that secret for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to drop it. The real twist, the other sisters apparently knew too. And none of them warned Tony. That realization broke her completely. At that dinner table, you could tell. The trust was gone. The bond was shattered. And Tony looked like she'd just lost her entire family in one night. The moment that clip hit the internet, it exploded. Within minutes, it was everywhere. TikTok, X, Instagram, you name it. People couldn't believe what they were hearing, and it instantly became the Braxtons' biggest scandal yet. Just when everyone thought this family couldn't possibly get messier, they went and outdid themselves again. The drama was hotter than ever, and the internet detectives went straight to work trying to uncover who the mystery man was that Tamar allegedly stole from Tony. Now, that bleeped out name during the episode, yeah, that only made things worse. Fans were way too nosy to let that slide, and it didn't take long before people started connecting the dots, and all arrows pointed straight at Birdman. Within hours, Birdman's name was trending, and the theories were wild. Apparently, Birdman and his Cash Money crew had just done a versus battle against No Limit, and Tony couldn't make it to support her man that night. But guess who did show up? Tamar. and she was doing the absolute most. According to clips fans posted, Tamar was running around backstage acting like Birdman's first lady, laughing, flirting, and even wiping sweat off his forehead like she was his woman. The crowd noticed, the cameras noticed, and fans online, they lost it. If you didn't know the backstory, you'd definitely think they were a couple by the way she was acting. The internet started calling her out left and right, accusing her of crossing the line, but Tamar fired back immediately, trying to clear the air. She said she was only there to hold it down for her sister Tony, saying, "'Cause she couldn't be here and she loves her husband, so I'ma hold it down for her and my brother." To make things even more confusing, Tamar later posted a video of her and Birdman on a video call with Tony, smiling, laughing, like everything was totally normal. But by then, fans weren't buying it anymore. They'd already made up their minds, and the scandal was out of control. That little video call Tamar posted didn't help her case one bit. If anything, it made people even more suspicious. But just as the Birdman drama started cooling down, a new bomb dropped that flipped everything upside down again. Turns out, Birdman might not have even been the man Tawanda was talking about at that chaotic dinner. Sources started whispering that the real name bleeped out wasn't Birdman at all. It was Carrie Lewis, Toni Braxton's ex-husband. And when that detail leaked, fans went crazy. What's even messier is that this rumor didn't come out of nowhere. People had been side-eyeing Tamar over Carrie for years. As far back as 2011, blogs were already spilling tea about Tamar supposedly having an affair with Carrie to get a boost in her music career. One blogger back then even claimed Tamar was doing whatever it takes to reach fame and fortune, and that included getting close to her sister's man. But the wildest part? That same blog claimed it wasn't just Tamar playing games. It said Tony had also allegedly been involved with Vince, the man Tamar later married, before handing him off to her sister. Fans have always brushed that off as gossip, but when you look at the timeline, it's a little too convenient, right? And this isn't Tamar's first time being accused of crossing boundaries. Remember the scandal with Michael Malden, Jermaine Dupri's father? Yeah, fans still talk about that. Word was, Tamar got close to him because of his strong Hollywood connections, and that rumor alone had people dragging her online for months. So now, when folks hear that she might have gone after Carrie Lewis, they're not even shocked anymore, just disappointed. People say Tamar's always been bold, but doing something like that to her own sister, that's a whole new level of messy. And honestly, if the rumors are true, this might explain why Tony's trust in her family has been completely shattered. Tamar's always been unpredictable. She does things just because she feels like it, no filter, no warning. And honestly, if you've been following the Braxton sisters over the years, you know their family dynamic is straight up chaotic. They act more like frenemies than blood. The tension, the shade, the secrets, it's all boiling over. There's so much bad blood between them it could sink the Titanic. Fans have even started asking if they genuinely like each other anymore, or if it's all just for the cameras. After the latest scandal blew up, the internet went wild, dragging Tamar through the dirt. People were calling her every name under the sun, saying, "Tamar, you've always been shady, and the audacity of doing this to your oldest sister." Some even said she had to be jealous of Tony's success. The comments were ruthless. It was like the whole internet turned against her overnight. But not everyone bought into the story. A bunch of fans came to Tamar's defense, swearing she'd never crossed that kind of line, especially with family. They said the whole situation smelled like a setup, that the sisters purposely dropped that bomb on Tamar to gaslight her and make her look like the villain again. One fan wrote, "I don't believe Tamar slept with Tony's man. I believe Tawanda said that because she was embarrassed that Tamar exposed her." And honestly, that theory started to make a lot of sense. See, Tamar might be dramatic, but she's also the only one who's ever spoken real truth about what goes on behind the scenes. She's blunt, she's emotional, and that scares the rest of them. The sisters don't like how open she is about their private business, especially the darker parts of their past. Remember when Tamar revealed that she'd been hurt by people from both sides of her family when she was younger? That confession shook everyone, and it made the family furious. So maybe this latest betrayal scandal isn't just about jealousy or revenge. Maybe it's about shutting Tamar down once and for all. Yeah, that confession did not sit well with the rest of the Braxton family. Instead of showing support, they turned on Tamar, accusing her of doing too much and airing out family business that should have stayed private. They blamed her for tearing the family apart like she was the reason all their skeletons were coming out. But the truth is, Tamar wasn't even allowed to speak about what happened to her for years. She was silenced as a child, and when she finally found the courage to speak up as an adult, They treated her like she'd committed the worst sin imaginable. But then things took an even darker turn when Tony and Tamar's niece, Ashley Braxton, came forward with her own heartbreaking story. Ashley revealed that her father, Michael Braxton Sr., had been physically violent with her when she was growing up, and it didn't stop there. Their stepmother, who was supposed to protect them, allegedly wasn't any better. Those girls went through years of physical, verbal, and emotional pain that nobody outside the family ever knew about. Sadly, the trauma didn't end quietly. Ashley's sister, Lolo, later lost her life to an overdose, a tragedy that ripped through the family but was never truly addressed. And just when people thought it couldn't get worse, Ashley dropped another bombshell. She revealed that her aunt, Trina Braxton, completely cut her off after discovering that Trina's husband had been sending Ashley inappropriate messages. And here's the most disturbing part. Ashley was only 16 years old at the time. Instead of comforting her or standing by her side, the family allegedly chose to protect the man, not the child. It was shocking, heartbreaking, and it left fans furious, wondering how much pain had been buried under the Braxton name all these years. But none of that mattered to Trina. She acted like Ashley was just making noise for attention. Instead of showing empathy, Trina accused her niece of stirring the pot for clout, completely dismissing the trauma Ashley went through. Even now, Trina still defends her ex-husband, Gabe, warning Ashley to stop talking about him since he's not here to defend himself. It's shocking, especially considering the seriousness of what Ashley said happened when she was just a teenager. And Trina wasn't the only one turning her back. Ashley later revealed that even Tawanda cut her off for speaking up about the abuse she experienced. That detail is huge because it sheds light on why Tawanda has such a long-standing grudge against Tamar. While most of the family was busy protecting their image and silencing Ashley, Tamar was the only one who refused to play that game. Tamar had lived through her own silence and wasn't about to let the same thing happen to Ashley. When she learned the truth, she was furious that the rest of the family had hidden the situation from her because they knew she wouldn't keep quiet. They knew Tamar would speak up no matter whose feelings got hurt, and that terrified them. So when she finally found out, Tamar didn't stay silent. She went all in. She invited Ashley onto her podcast to finally tell her side of the story in her own words. That move shook the Braxton family to its core. The rest of the sisters were livid, calling Tamar disloyal for airing family secrets in public. But fans saw it differently. To them, Tamar wasn't stirring drama. She was breaking a cycle of silence that had gone on for way too long. After that podcast episode dropped, all hell broke loose in the Braxton family. The moment Ashley's voice went public, the sisters lost it. Group chats blew up, calls were made, and suddenly Tamar was being treated like the ultimate traitor. Trina reportedly called her disrespectful. Tawanda accused her of chasing clout, and even Tony, usually the calm one, kept her distance for weeks. The family tried to downplay the story, saying Ashley was misguided, and Tamar should have known better than to drag family business online. But at that point, the damage was already done. Social media exploded with people taking sides. Some fans praised Tamar for standing up for Ashley, saying, "Finally, someone in that family is telling the truth." Others, though, accused her of doing it for attention, calling it another Tamar tantrum. But what nobody could deny was that the podcast hit a nerve. It exposed cracks in the Braxton image that could no longer be hidden. Behind the scenes, things got even messier. Tawanda allegedly stopped all contact with Tamar, and insiders claimed that family group projects, including Braxton Family Values spin-off talks, were immediately put on ice. Even Ashley started getting hate messages from people calling her a liar and ungrateful, which many fans believe came from fake accounts linked to the Braxtons' inner circle. Through it all, Tamar refused to back down. She went live on Instagram saying she had nothing to apologize for, explaining that she wasn't trying to ruin her family. She was trying to protect it by finally addressing the truth. "I'm not the villain," she said. "I'm just tired of being silent when people are getting hurt." That statement set the internet on fire. It trended for 2 days straight. And while some of her sisters kept pretending everything was fine in interviews, fans could see the tension brewing behind every fake smile. At this point, it's not just sister drama anymore. It's generational pain, buried secrets, and public betrayal colliding in real time. The Braxton family name might never recover from this fallout. And Tamar? She's standing in the middle of it all, refusing to back down. The Braxtons didn't just dislike that podcast, they hated it. Things got so ugly that the family actually sent Tamar and Ashley a cease and desist letter, demanding they stop talking about everything immediately. But here's the messed up part. Tamar didn't even hear about it through her sisters. Nope, she found out when a stranger served her the papers. Imagine that, being legally silenced by your own family and not even getting a warning first. That betrayal hit hard, and it showed just how deep the cracks in the Braxton bond really go. At this point, the pattern is crystal clear. Every time Tamar tries to speak her truth, her own family tries to shut her down. They humiliate her, silence her, and then paint her as the problem. And fans are finally starting to notice. People online are torn. Some believe Tamar might have crossed the line with Tony's man, but others are convinced this whole situation is just payback for her daring to expose what really happens behind the Braxton brand. So what do you think? Did Tamar actually betray her sister, or is she the one being betrayed for finally speaking up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This story's far from over. And if you love digging into the truth behind the headlines, don't forget to subscribe to Juicy Reel for even more wild celebrity drama coming your way.
I'm the baby, or whatever you want to call me, and the youngest. I could be the most opinionated, but I'm not the worst on the planet because I always come back for y'all. I always come back for them to help them.
You know, I'm always tell you the truth, and I hear you, and I know it's not easy, but you gotta try to figure out. And again, I don't know the answer. I don't know the path forward or how to get to a resolution or resolve. It's just, but you can't keep putting yourself through all of.
Tamar jumps into this episode and she's straight up emotional, saying her own sisters don't even vibe with her like that. She basically admits that she feels pushed out the circle, like they don't see her as real family anymore, and that hits heavy.
Coming? No, she's not coming to my wedding.
She's not coming to the wedding?
No.
No, are you sure?
I'm so positive.
What do we think about her behavior? I'm just the other day.
I think it was unacceptable. Entirely unacceptable.
I was pretty upset at myself for allowing a situation to affect me that way. I get it. Certain things, even as sisters, I wouldn't necessarily spew out.
Those words weren't slipped out by accident. She said it with her chest, and you can feel how long she's been holding that in. She talks about how the energy between them is off, like she's the odd one out every time she walks into the room. And even though she's hurting, she still says she wants to fix things, which shows she's not giving up on this bond. She's not shutting the door. She's not throwing shade for fun. She's genuinely trying to pull the family back together. But here's the wild part. Why does she even feel this disconnected in the first place? What happened behind closed doors that got her feeling like she's standing outside her own house, knocking to be let in? If her sisters really care, wouldn't they show it? And if they do care, then what's blocking them from showing love the same way she's asking for it?
So Tamar sits down with, I believe the lady she's speaking with, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe her name is Taz. She expressed emotions on pretty much working things out with her sisters, being able to sit down, work it out. She's ready, as long as they're ready, open, and willing. But what I learned is during that time, we know the.
So now I gotta ask you, do you think her sisters actually want to deal with her, or are they keeping her at arm's length for a reason? And if they do want a relationship, then why is Tamar carrying this heavy feeling that she's not part of the sisterhood anymore? So Tamar sits down with this lady, and if I'm not mistaken, her name is Taz, and she's really opening up about wanting to fix things with her sisters. She's talking from the heart, saying she's willing to sit down, talk it out, and finally put all this tension to rest as long as everybody else is open and ready too.
Show is filmed in advance, but Tawanda and her husband did a live, and it looks like they had a whole bunch to say about Tamar. So although Tamar is feeling like she may want to, to reconcile, it doesn't seem like Tawanda wants to reconcile with Tamar at all.
Like Cantor Simmons, shout out to Cantor Simmons. He's one of my best men. The faces of who and the realities of relationships fade away, and then you start to be more attracted to the frequency that you are on. And I'm not out here looking for what looks nice. I'm not out here looking for what smells nice or what feels nice. I'm looking for what is frequency nice. So I don't care about none of that anything. If you're not matching that, I will pour into you my extra, but I'm not putting myself at a deficit or letting you like sap all my good energy, make me sad, make me upset, have me engaging in triggers and all of that, and talking down about people or talking gossiping or calling people like they name or fighting or any of that. I ain't doing it, bruh.
Nope.
I ain't doing it.
Remove myself. Yep.
I don't care who you are.
Yep.
I don't care if you my mama, my sister, my twin, Jesus. It don't matter.
Yeah.
She's not running from the smoke. She's saying, I'm here. Let's deal with it. And that takes guts. But here's where it gets messy. Even though Tamar is ready to settle things, the timing of everything tells a different story. We all know the show is filmed ahead of time, but while these scenes were playing out, Tawanda and her husband went live online and they had a whole lot to say about Tamar. That wasn't some quiet little side comment. They were speaking loud and clear, and it didn't sound like love at all.
I ain't spending 2 seconds on that junk. And I love you and I mean it. I wish the best for you. I hope you find all the happiness in your life. But everybody at this house, them 2 kids and that woman upstairs that I'm responsible for, we not plugging into that. I don't care what it is.
Nope. We're not plugging. We're not pouring. We're not entertaining. We're not doing any of that. And what people need to understand is it's not our responsibility to nurture your triggers. That's no one's responsibility but yours. Period.
Yep.
We're not coddling anything other than peace, happiness, and joy. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. And if you can't vibrate up, then you have to vibrate out.
That's it. And here's the thing. This is not coming from a place of hate, meanness. I will speak for myself. I sincerely, from the core of who I am, hope that every spirit, soul on this earth finds their purpose, finds their passion, finds the people that support them, finds the people that encourages them, that cheerleads for them, and that they can do that for everyone else in their circle and be led by their source.
Right.
That's what I want for everybody.
Right.
I just do. And ain't nothing you gonna do gonna change that. But what I have control over, me, and what I will allow in my space, in my home, on my phone, or in my car, like I have a choice to make there.
Yeah.
And that choice is love. That choice is peace. I've tried before. I've tried to pull people. I've tried to be like, hey, let me show you. I'm not doing that. And she ain't doing it either. We love you. We rather look towards the hills for what's coming our help.
Come on now. Come on, honey.
It's Good Friday.
So while Tamara's out here says she wants peace, it looks like Tawanda isn't matching that energy one bit. It really doesn't seem like she's trying to reconcile or sit at any table with Tamar, and that's a huge red flag for anyone hoping this family would work things out soon. The vibe is off, the tone is cold, and the divide is looking deeper than what Tamar even realized. And when the episode shows Tamar breaking down, you can tell this isn't some dramatic moment for cameras. She's genuinely hurt. She says straight up, they don't like me, and she's in tears while explaining how all these issues didn't just pop up yesterday. They've been going on for a long time. It's like she's carrying years of feeling pushed aside, ignored, or misunderstood, and it finally hit her too hard to keep it inside. This whole situation is getting heavy fast. So now the real question kicks in. What's the actual solution here? Because Tamar could not keep putting herself through the same hurt over and over again like this. At some point, you got to stop walking into the same fire, expecting it not to burn you again, and that's exactly the kind of emotional cycle she's trapped in. From what the show revealed, one thing is crystal clear. Tawanda does not mess with Tamar, and it shows every time her name comes up. Whatever the root of the drama is, it's been boiling for years. There were those allegations that Tamar used Tawanda's credit card to cover a phone bill, and that's the type of thing that sticks with family even if both sides tell the story differently. Then there was the whole situation where Tawanda lent her money and Tamar turned around acting like it was a gift. That moment alone caused a huge crack in their bond. And let's not forget the drama where Tawanda told everyone Tamar didn't show up, even though she had actually uninvited her. That's wild. That kind of move hits deep because it twists the narrative and leaves Tamar looking wrong when she wasn't even given a fair chance. These aren't small disagreements. These are the type of moments that break trust permanently. So even though Tamar is out here crying saying she wants to fix things, Tawanda is given a completely different energy. During that live with her husband, she made it very clear, without naming names, that she's not babysitting grown people's behavior, and the tone was obviously aimed at Tamar. She wasn't hinting, she was straight up saying she does not want to deal with her. And the biggest shock? Even with Tamar showing she wants peace, Tawanda still hit her with a loud and clear no, especially when it came to her wedding. She practically said, "Don't let this lady come to my wedding." And that's not a soft boundary, that's a hard block. This shows the damage between them is way deeper than what we're seeing on screen. And now, here's where things really take a turn. Because while Tamar is sitting there wanting peace, wanting closeness, wanting that sister bond back, the energy she's getting from the other side is icy. It's like she's reaching out her hand and they're stepping back every time. That kind of tension doesn't happen overnight. That's years of hurt piled up with nobody cleaning up the mess. And when Tawanda made it clear she didn't want Tamar at her wedding, that wasn't just a small not today moment. That was a straight up message. Weddings are supposed to be family events, right? If you block your own sister from stepping foot in the building, that means things have gone way past petty arguments or small misunderstandings. It means trust is broken, feelings have been bruised, and nobody's trying to fix the cracks. But here's the part that hits even harder. Tamar is confused because she's still trying. She's emotional, she's open, she's saying she wants resolution, yet she's standing alone while her sisters move like she's the problem every time. That kind of rejection hits the soul, and you could see it in her face when she talked about not being liked. She wasn't putting on a show, she was speaking from a place of real pain. So now we're all left wondering what went down behind closed doors that made this bond crumble like this. How do sisters get to a place where one is crying for connection and the others are setting up boundaries strong enough to keep her out of major life moments? This drama is getting deeper by the second. And now we reach the heavy question everyone's been circling around. If Tamar is out here crying for unity, but her sisters are shutting the door every time she knocks, what does that really say about where this family stands? It's like Tamar is fighting for a seat at a table that her own sisters keep pulling away from her. And that kind of emotional tug of war can break anyone down. Tamar keeps saying she doesn't feel loved, doesn't feel wanted, doesn't feel included, and honestly, her tears told the whole story without her even needing to explain it. You could see it in her voice, her body language, everything. This isn't drama for cameras. This is someone who's been carrying hurt for way too long. And when someone reaches that level of pain, it means the problems didn't start yesterday. This has been building for years. Meanwhile, her sisters move like they're done trying, done talking, done giving chances. They act like there's no space left for healing, no room for a fresh start, and no interest in meeting her halfway. And when a family hits that point where one person is begging for reconciliation and the others are acting like the bridge is already burned, that's when you know the history between them has layers we still haven't seen. So now the real question is, can this family ever find their way back to each other, or is the divide too deep to repair? Is Tamar chasing a bond that her sisters checked out of a long time ago? And if things keep going like this, what happens next for them as a whole? If you're into wild celeb family drama like this, make sure you hit subscribe to Juicy Reel because trust me, the next stories are going to be just as explosive.
This is why I got an attitude about the story, because somebody else's moment was hijacked. When you woke up in the morning, when all of us woke up in the morning, the story was not how great Versus was. The story was not, ooh, that was a Versus for the history books. The story was not, Versus was so good. The story is Tamar Braxton, Cash Money No Limit Versus. That I think that did a disservice to the whole thing. Hijacked somebody else's, and I'm not implying that it was intentional. Somebody else's moment was hijacked. The next morning, none of the stories related to Versus should have had anything to do with the Tamar Braxton.
So what is it about Birdman that has everyone losing their minds lately? Kimora Lee even has her daughters calling him Uncle Birdman like he's family. Keisha Cole was out here throwing hands over him, and now Tony and Tamar are getting dragged into a whole new mess about who was with him first. The streets stayed talking, and the sisters keep catching heat, with people clowning Tamar for supposedly getting involved with Birdman behind Tony's back. But the real twist, I was shocked when I found out Tony was actually the one who crossed that line with Tamar first, not the other way around. That flip alone is wild. And DeBrat is not letting anybody come for her friend this time. She came ready with receipts and confidence like she's stepping into court. She straight up showed that Tamar wasn't the one taking Tony's man. Instead, things were flipped completely because Tamar was the one who had Birdman first, long before Tony ever stepped into the picture. And she still tried to keep things.
Y'all know how people were calling Tamar out for being all over Birdman, rubbing his head and treating him like she's his. She was moving up and down in the background like Birdman was her husband. Child, at one point she was even wiping the sweat off of his brow with a smile on her face like he was her man too.
But now the real question is hanging in the air like smoke. Is DeBrat telling the truth? Or is this just some messy talk to stir things up even more? That's the part that has everyone pacing. People keep remembering the way Tamar was seen all over Birdman, rubbing his head, putting that special soft voice energy on him, and treating him like she was the one holding the title, while Tony, the actual partner, was at home. Every clip, every picture, every little moment had folks tilting their heads like they just witnessed something they weren't supposed to see. This whole situation is layered like a soap opera that refuses to end, and every new detail is louder than the last.
Tamar, girl, why are you wiping the sweat off of Birdman's head like that, sis? Now, as a married woman, I think I can grab the mic real quick and speak on this because even though it may, like, she may be innocently doing it, girl, no, you don't do that. Like, the man's been performing on stage all this time and he don't need you wiping the sweat off his head. Now, I'm hoping it was just like a gesture, but girl, y'all are all performers. Like, don't do that.
She was moving around in the background like Birdman was her home partner's kid, acting real familiar in a way that had everybody staring a little too long. There was even a moment where she leaned in and wiped the sweat off his forehead with this warm smile like she was taking care of her man right in front of the whole room. That clip alone had people hitting replay with their jaws on the floor.
Do I know where you live?
Well, of course you don't come. So
Exactly.
my
So
thing,
how would I
I know
give
where
it
you
to
live because I put down your down payment.
Beautiful.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit card.
A video of her and Birdman on a video call with Tony to show that there was nothing to worry about.
Folks definitely called her out for it because the vibe was way past friendly. But Tamar stood her ground and fired back, saying she was only there to help her sister. She even posted a video of her and Birdman on a video call with Tony, trying to prove everything was cool and nothing shady was happening. But best believe people were not buying that explanation at all. Showing support is one thing, but the way she was touching him, laughing with him, and moving like they had a whole inside connection, that looked completely different to everyone watching.
Tawanda, baby, I love her to pieces. But hide your stuff when she come over, because she snatched the wig off your head when you look the other way. She's super sneaky, clever, and crafty.
Then things got even hotter because the sisters were literally one breath away from a physical fight after Tawanda came out and exposed Tamar for messing with Birdman behind Tony's back. That moment sent shockwaves through the family. The whole mess kicked off after Tamar tried to get slick and embarrass Tawanda by saying she knew where she lived only because she helped her cover the down payment on her house.
And you've been stealing from me for the past couple years on my credit cards and help me.
But what you steal?
I don't steal anything.
You don't? You stole men.
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's. You slept with them
a
few times.
Who? What man?
You not get the lead. Oh,
bitch. Dirty, low-down-ass bitch.
Oh, you're such a liar. Such a liar.
That comment had the room tightening up instantly. But Tamar didn't stop there. She kept pushing and accused Tawanda of secretly using her credit cards for years without permission. She dropped that claim like it was nothing, and the whole situation exploded on the spot. Every accusation added another layer, and the tension between them snapped harder with each word.
Tony Braxton?
Tony Braxton, I got you on the phone.
No, Tony Braxton ain't never had your back.
I got Tony Braxton.
I want it on record. I want it on national television. You want to say I don't have your back?
You didn't have my back when it came to y'all.
And honestly, none of this is shocking because Tawanda has a whole history of grabbing things that don't belong to her, and people haven't forgotten about that at all. There were old claims floating around about Tawanda taking their mother's Social Security checks, plus whispers that she might have taken money from Tony too. Those stories didn't come out of thin air, and fans remembered every bit of it when this drama came up again. The interesting part is how Tawanda's own bankruptcy documents laid everything bare. Those papers show she owes close to $500,000 in debt, and they clearly list a $35,000 loan from Tamar that went toward the down payment for a house. So Tamar's accusations aren't just empty talk. She actually has some real paperwork on her side. It paints a picture of Tawanda allegedly dipping into her sister's pockets and expecting everybody to stay quiet like it's normal. But Tawanda wasn't about to let Tamar walk around like she had the upper hand, not even for a minute. She clapped back hard and exposed Tamar for sneaking around with her sister's man, dropping that claim like a bomb in the middle of the room. And the way Tamar completely lost it after hearing that, you could tell she didn't see it coming at all. She looked stunned, like someone had yanked the ground right from under her feet.
The Brat and Tamar worked on This Nation. They became close, they became friends, whatever. So if you know, the Braxtons came out last week and Tawanda stated that Tamar slept with Tony's ex, yada, yada, yada. There was a versus last weekend. Tamar was on stage with Birdman, wiping off his sweat, stopping him from drinking, getting drunk, whatever. Now it's going around that Tamar and Birdman dated back in 2003, and now we know that Tony and Birdman are married.
But the person who seemed genuinely shaken was Toni Braxton. Her face said everything without her having to speak a single word. She looked like she had been hit with a secret she never expected to hear. And meanwhile, Tawanda had clearly been sitting on this information for who knows how long, holding it tight until the perfect moment to flip the whole situation upside down. And you just know she kept that info tucked away on purpose so she could throw it right back at Tamar when the moment hit just right. From Trina's reaction alone, it looked like she already knew the whole situation too, which made it even stranger, because how do you keep something that serious from your own sister? This isn't small talk. This is one sister allegedly being involved with another sister's partner, and somehow the family moved like it was just another Tuesday. And it didn't stop at one person either. According to Tawanda, it was two of Tony's men, which instantly had people saying the Braxton sisters must secretly dislike each other at this point, because that kind of betrayal isn't simple. The second Tawanda claimed Tamar had been around Tony's partners, the internet went straight into detective mode, trying to figure out who she meant. And soon enough, Tamar's name started popping up not only with Birdman, but also with Carrie Lewis Opham Condition too. That had social media spinning all over again. The wild part is this rumor stretches all the way back to 2011, when a blogger claimed Tamar slept with Tony's ex-husband because she wanted to level up and get access to the right circles. And to make it even more complicated, the Post said the situation wasn't one-sided. It claimed Tony had been involved with Vince first, before basically stepping aside, and Tamar ended up with him instead. That old rumor resurfaced fast the moment this drama kicked up. And let's not pretend this is the first time Tamar's been dragged into a situation like this. People still remember when she got heavy backlash over that situation with Michael Malden, Jermaine Dupri's father. That moment followed her for years. So when you start putting all these pieces together, the story doesn't sound impossible at all, especially if she believed being tied to the right man could boost her career or open new doors. This whole thing turned into a giant knot of accusations, old rumors, and family tension that just keeps getting louder every time someone speaks. And then Tamar started getting close with Birdman again, and their whole vibe looked way too familiar for people not to notice. It made folks wonder, why didn't Tawanda or Trina ever act excited around him at that versus battle? Because if he was supposed to be their brother-in-law, wouldn't they be showing him big love too? The energy was off, and the silence from them made everything feel even stranger. But even though Tamar has been wrapped up in plenty of messy moments with her sisters, the brat stepped in and made it clear this situation wasn't one where the family had the right to judge her at all. The brat flat out confirmed Tamar and Birdman had a real relationship way back in 2003, which is wild because that was before Tony even connected her with Vince. That part shocked everybody. And according to the brat, whatever Tony had with Birdman came way later, so the timeline people tried to push on Tamar doesn't match the truth at all. The brat also said the way people keep calling her out makes no sense, especially since Tamar stayed nothing but supportive even after her own sister married a man she once dated. That's a lot of emotional maturity for someone constantly painted as the messy one, and she really has shown support too. This wasn't even the first time she hyped up Tony and Birdman together. People still remember when she and her family dressed up as Tony and Birdman for Halloween to show love and keep everything playful. So yeah, this is exactly the type of thing Tamar does. She stands behind her sister, even when the internet tries to twist the story. And the brat is not letting anybody act like Tamar was out of line this time, because the real timeline tells a different story. The whole situation is a full-blown mess. And of course, the internet jumped in fast with their opinions flying everywhere. People were quick to say that a lot of these celebrity men are really just pass-around men, acting like they're in control, while they're actually getting played right back. The way folks talk online, it's clear these guys love pretending the drama always falls on the women, when half the time, they're the ones spinning the block the most. And people didn't hold back about how Tamar kept the money rolling into the Braxton household either. Some were saying Tamar kept things afloat for a long time, but nobody wanted to bring that up because it didn't fit the narrative they wanted. But if roles were reversed, hoo-wee, they would have dragged Tamar without mercy, no hesitation at all. Tony gets a soft pass every time, but Tamar, people stay ready to throw her under the bus before hearing the full story. Then someone chimed in saying, yes, and thank you for posting before they had all these blogs. There was one called the Pantry Report, and they did report years ago that Tamar and Birdman was an item, but he got tired of her and her sense of entitlement, and that's when she got with Vince sometime after that. That comment added a whole new layer because it reminded everyone that this rumor didn't start yesterday. It has been floating around for years. So now old blog posts, old claims, and old drama are resurfacing again, mixing with everything happening today and making the story even more chaotic. This whole thing keeps growing by the hour, and every new detail has people talking louder than before. But things didn't calm down after that, not even a little bit. The internet kept digging, dragging up old interviews, old pictures, old whispers, anything that could prove who was lying and who was keeping quiet for too long. And every time a new clip resurfaced, it sparked a fresh argument because the Braxton family timeline started looking more confusing than ever. People started pointing out how Tony always kept her business polished on the outside, while Tamar wore every emotion on her sleeve, and that alone made folks judge them differently. Tamar lashes out publicly, she's dramatic. Tony moves in silence, she's classy. But now that the stories are clashing, folks online are realizing they never actually knew what was going on behind those cameras. The truth is coming out piece by piece, and nothing looks as perfect as it used to. Then, things got even crazier when fans began digging into Birdman's old interviews, where he hinted about having history with someone in the Braxton circle. He never dropped names, but the tone had people rewinding like, hold on, was he talking about Tamar this whole time? That tiny hint turned into a wildfire, because now people felt like the puzzle pieces were finally lining up. And meanwhile, Tamar stayed posting cryptic messages like she was fighting between clearing her name and protecting her family at the same time. She'd post something uplifting one minute, then drop a line about betrayal the next, making fans think she was speaking in codes. Every post had folks reading between the lines like it was a mystery novel. What made everything even wilder was how quiet Tony stayed through all of it. Her silence had the internet thinking she was either trying to stay above the chaos or waiting for the right moment to speak because the situation was way bigger than anyone realized. And now everybody's watching her page like it's breaking news, because when Tony finally speaks, that moment is going to shake everything. And just when everyone thought the drama couldn't get any louder, fans started digging into old backstage footage that showed the sisters throwing each other looks that suddenly made a whole lot more sense. One clip had Tamar walking into a room and Tony barely glancing up, And now people swear that look carried years of hidden tension. The internet was replaying it like detectives breaking down evidence frame by frame. Then more resurfaced, videos where Trina tried to keep the peace but kept shifting in her chair every time Birdman's name came up. People started reading those tiny reactions as silent confessions, saying the sisters must have been holding back way more than what they showed on the reality show. It felt like the whole family had been walking around with secrets tucked in their pockets, hoping none of them slipped out on camera. And out of nowhere, fans started bringing up that old moment when Tamar said, "People be smiling in your face but plotting behind your back." And now folks are convinced she wasn't talking about outsiders at all. That statement hit different this time, like she had been hinting at family drama long before anyone connected the dots. Suddenly, everyone was asking the same question. Was Tamar trying to warn the world without exposing her sisters directly? Meanwhile, Birdman kept doing what he always does, staying calm, moving quiet, letting the women fight it out while he kept his business in order. But that only made the internet more annoyed because everyone wanted him to clear the timeline once and for all. Instead, he stood on the sidelines like he wasn't one of the main reasons the family tension exploded in the first place. At this point, the fans felt like a bomb had gone off, and every day brought a new piece of the story nobody expected. And with the sisters being so unpredictable, everyone knew one thing for sure. This drama wasn't anywhere close to ending. And the more the internet kept pulling at loose threads, the wilder everything started looking because now people were pointing fingers at the whole family dynamic like it had been cracked for years. Some fans even said the sisters never truly trusted each other. They just learned how to mask it on camera. That theory started spreading fast because old episodes started hitting different when you watched them with fresh eyes. Then somebody dug up an old radio interview where Tamar joked about people be acting brand new like they wasn't doing the same thing behind closed doors. And once that clip resurfaced, people were convinced she had been hinting at Tony this whole time. The comments blew up instantly, with fans arguing about whether Tamar had been throwing soft shots or simply speaking from her own experience. Either way, it added more smoke to a fire that was already blazing. But the internet didn't stop there. People started comparing timelines, outfits, award shows, and even background dates just to see who was standing next to who at what time. For a moment, it looked like fans were building a whole crime board with pictures and red strings connecting every moment the sisters were in the same room as Birdman. It got so detailed that people were analyzing facial expressions, hand placements, even breathing patterns like it was a courtroom case. Meanwhile, Tamar wasn't helping the situation by posting those emotional messages that sounded like she was speaking from a place of deep hurt. She dropped lines about loyalty, then follow it with something like, "I'll never say what really happened because I don't want to break my own heart again." And the internet was like, what does that mean? Every post felt like another piece of a puzzle she didn't want to finish. And Tony? Still quiet. Her silence was louder than every comment section put together, and people kept saying she must be sitting somewhere trying to figure out how to respond without blowing everything up completely. Because the moment Tony breaks her silence, you already know the whole internet is going to freeze like time just stopped. And just when everybody thought the drama had finally hit its peak, the drama took one last wild turn that sent the whole internet into chaos again. Fans started whispering that someone behind the scenes was planning to drop even more information, and suddenly everyone was watching the Braxton family like they were waiting for the next episode of a real-life soap opera. The tension was thick, the silence was suspicious, and the energy felt like something major was getting ready to fall. People online kept saying the family had reached a point where no one knew who was protecting who anymore. One minute, someone defended Tamar, the next, someone defended Tony, then out of nowhere, random insiders popped up claiming they knew the real story, which only made everything messier. Every rumor felt like a warning shot, and every post from the sisters made fans hold their breath because nobody knew which direction the drama would explode next. And Tamar, she kept dropping little emotional hints like she was carrying pain she didn't want to speak on. She wasn't naming names, she wasn't pointing fingers, she was just letting her feelings leak through those late-night posts that always hit harder than anything she said on TV. Her words sounded like someone trying to heal while still protecting people who never gave her the same grace, and fans felt that deeply. Meanwhile, Tony's silence reached a new whole level because now people were convinced that she was the only one who could shut this entire situation down. She had the respect, the calm, the power, and the history to put the truth on the table, but instead she stayed quiet, which made everything feel even more intense. Her silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt heavy, like she was holding back something the world wasn't ready to hear. And that's why everyone is still watching, still waiting, still refreshing pages like the next update might break the internet. Because with a family this iconic and drama this deep, one thing is guaranteed: this story isn't ending anytime soon. And if you want every shocking update, every twist, every behind-the-scenes detail, make sure you hit that subscribe button on Juicy Reel so you don't miss what drops next.
So first update is that I got a message yesterday from my Faja, and he said to zip it up tight, don't speak. I know just what you're saying. Don't speak, girl. And that he lawyered up, and that I shan't speak of his name or the household and other things, etc., etc.
You told them, like, I got a cease and desist who, and nobody said anything.
Because it was never a fact of a cease and desist. It was the fact of who gave out my personal information.
Yeah.
My home.
All right, let's get straight into the chaos, because this whole situation with Tamar Braxton had people talking loud in 2025. Tamar stepped out and made it crystal clear that something shady went down, and she wasn't about to stay quiet about it. She said her own family ended up leaking her personal address through a cease and desist letter, and that's wild on every level. Like, seriously, who does something so reckless? It had people confused, shocked, and whispering the moment it hit social media. Tamar wasn't sugarcoating anything either. She flat out said this whole situation put her safety on the line, and honestly, anyone would be heated if something like that happened to them. She basically told her family to stop pretending they don't know what happened and just admit it already. She wanted them to step up, take responsibility, and stop acting like it was some big misunderstanding, because she wasn't buying that story one bit. And let me tell you, the attitude behind it all was loud enough to shake the room.
Home is a safe place. So for me, it took me a long time to actually buy a house here that I actually lived in. Like, I have 3 that's just sitting here in the city because I just didn't feel safe enough to move into.
Yeah, so when they gave out that address, she just felt like they already knew what you was going through.
Yeah, man, because not only did he send it to my house once, he sent it to my house 3 times. He sent it to my house. He had someone walk it up to my house. He sent it where they sent it through U.S. mail, and then they sent it through.
You told them, like, I got a cease and desist who, and nobody said anything.